1, 2, 1, 2. Huh? I do. I need a shotgun wedding. Okay. No, they're just going to have to listen. Yeah, it's going now. We're live now, so get on your mic.
All right, we're live from Hurricane, West Virginia.
We are.
Let me see what I'll need to get this on TikTok here. Okay.
So. Yeah, I'm checking this out right now.
All right.
We are in.
Are we still on back of the house?
No, I've moved it over to guest.
I'm going to have to change everything then.
No, you don't. I've already done it.
Yeah, okay.
I've already done it. You're good. Don't mess with anything.
So you've done all my devices.
I did not do your iPad. I did your computer because that's all that matters. I'm trying to hear which one is. Okay, we're good. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Blue Ribbon Bar, where the drinks are flowing and the Wi-Fi sucks, so anything could happen at any moment.
True that. All right, I'm going to restream.
I've got my. Well, that's good.
Well, first of all, let's talk about our sponsor, okay? Let's do that first.
You go ahead and do that. I'm going to work on
how come Restream is not running for me? There it goes. Okay. So, guys, we are sponsored by Pittsburgh Power. They are a diesel performance shop in Saxonburg, Pennsylvania. We have been a customer of theirs since 2009. We use all their products as far as modifications go for fuel mileage, and we have become stocking distributor.
refresh that screen. Lunatic reset, one word.
Are already OPS customers or Max Mileage customers. We appreciate your business. So, all right. So here we are. We're here at Hurricane, West Virginia for our live event weekend. We got, 48, 50 people registered to be here this weekend. And this is kind of our little preliminary reception. We have some awesome food over there that Caterers did, and everybody's here and drinking and having a good time. So background noise is going to be a little high tonight, but that's okay. It's cool. So anyway, what do you think, Chris?
Well, I've got it's hey, David, lunatic reset, all one word, no space. I'm trying to get this third camera up so we can talk to our guests. Cancel that. So
we are live. I'm looking at us now live.
We are live on the internets. He's got better lighting than I do. Did you get it?
That's because I'm just better looking than he is. So.
Oh, David. L-U-N-A-T.
So I'm over at the convention center today.
Yeah.
And Chase is looking at our banners. He looks at that one of here, me and you. He goes, "Is Chris got makeup on?" I don't know.
No,
he
Chris
don't look
does
that.
not wear
He
makeup.
don't look that damn good in person.
Yeah.
I said that's probably Photoshop, not makeup. So, so anyway,
well, we're happy to be here. We're happy to have everybody here with us. I don't know. We probably got about 20 or so in here.
I'm not sure.
We've got a beautiful.
We got more outside in the cancer corner than we do in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got a beautiful spread over here on the table. Lots of pineapples and watermelons and ham, and I'm mainly here for the alcohol. So, okay, let me.
And then there's that. So, yeah, we got some special guests tonight. We're going to bring in and talk to. We've got the fuel mileage legend himself, Steve Crone, with I don't know, a lifetime average of 10 or 11 miles per gallon or something. I can't keep up with him, but he's here. He's got his truck here. He's going to talk to our guys this weekend about fuel mileage and how he accomplishes the tremendous things he does. We've got Chase Bryant from DPF Alternatives here. He's going to talk this weekend about his product, and we're going to interview him a little time. We've got some of our people here. We're going to have some of our program participants talk a little bit, and we got a couple of podcast listeners that are here that have got, I think very interesting stories that we're going to talk about. So it's going to be a good night. We might run a little long tonight. We're running a little late getting started because we had some Wi-Fi issues here at the hotel. But hang with us. It's going to be a good night. So anyway, Chris, how did your meeting go that you just came back from?
Oh, it went well.
Is your blood pressure normal or not?
Yeah, I'll be able to tell you all about it here after a while.
All right. Good deal.
It was interesting. So, got to deal with the issues as they come. I'm trying to get this.
You seem to be preoccupied to me.
Well, I'm trying to get this thing to do what I want it to do, and I'm trying to do it live, and I think maybe I have it fixed. So, all right. Well,
when we go on a road like this, all our technology gets screwed up, and then we're at the hotel, and like 30 minutes before showtime, their internet goes down, their Wi-Fi goes down, so we're in a backup Wi-Fi. So we'll cross our fingers, hope everything goes good tonight. So a little patience will be appreciated, all right? Well, first of all, you should be here, okay? Everybody else here is here. You guys should have been here. So, but since you're not, we'll try to make up for it here and talk about it a little bit. We got 2 full days of information and networking and sharing and getting ready to happen. I forgot to talk about Rocky. Rocky, the legend, MD alignment from North Florida, is also here, and he loves to talk. We probably can't give him very much time because you can't shut him up once he starts.
Right.
So we'll give him a short leash, but if you really want to hear Rocky, you should be here, and then you could hear him a lot. So he's outside lining up trucks and putting in bushings and all that kind of stuff. Chris Dolan from Cam's Trucking will be here tomorrow and Sunday, working on trucks in the parking lot. And you should be here, okay? You should be here. Shame on you for not being here.
What do I need? I need Restream, I guess, up on my phone. So where's my iPad? Do you want to get a guest? And let's get started.
Somebody says, Larry, we can't hear you.
No, that was from earlier. I hit the wrong button.
Okay. So I hope you can hear me now. Let's set the stage a little bit, Chris. Give me your take on. Excuse me.
What'd you say? Go ahead.
Give me your take on the weekend that's coming up.
Well, hanging out with Rocky today reminded me of how important events like this are because of the networking. It's one thing to watch Rocky on a TikTok video or hear him talk, but when you're standing there at the truck and you're watching him take the measurements and you're watching him adjust things. And last night we were standing out by the picnic table just drinking beer, and he had a piece of tire with him, and he probably spent 30 minutes talking about tires and talking about how that you, as the operator of the vehicle, can gain the information that you need to know and let your tires talk to you the same way that an oil sample does, right? And it lets you know what's happening in your engine, what's happening with your tires, what's happening with your suspension. And it's so much different when you're in person. And so tomorrow and Sunday, when we're in the room and Larry's going to be giving a presentation, or I'm going to be giving a presentation, or Phil or Rocky or Chase, it's just so much different when you're in the room. When you're listening to people give you that practical information, and there's nothing to distract you from it. So I think that's the most important part of being here in person, and it's why we don't broadcast it and we don't record it. I'm going to get some snippets of stuff, because I'm sure Larry's going to say something that everybody ought to hear. There's no doubt about that.
I would listen. No pressure, okay? No
Right.
pressure.
So I'm going to get you some snippets, but this is not something that you can really, watch online.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, this is 175th episode. We're going to say everything today or tomorrow and Sunday in person that we've said on this podcast. There's no hidden information, but it's all about the networking. It's about standing outside, having a drink with somebody that share their experiences, and that's what we're doing here. So, because this is all about changing your identity. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you see a business owner, you're going to make a different set of decisions than if you are looking at yourself as an employee, company driver. That's the difference. And so we're trying to get you to change that identity. And I remember Zig Ziglar famously said one time that you cannot change anyone's mind, but you can give them different information with which they can make a different decision. And that's what we're trying to get you to do here. Make a different decision, and make that decision from the position of someone that uses a calculator. Hey, somebody's going to have to go get the BSE 9000 out of my...
Oh, speaking of which, I am going to...
And we have gifts.
I am going... No, we don't have gifts. I have gifts, okay?
Well, she said that was for the both of us.
No, she's wrong.
Yes, she did.
No, she's wrong. She's wrong. I'm gonna give you some real envy.
Oh my goodness!
I want you to look at this.
Oh shit! Oh my gosh, that is awesome! Look at that, y'all. The blue ribbon BSE 9000.
That's the personal version. That's the personal edition of the BSE 9000.
That is outstanding. That's the best damn thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is. That's awesome. So, did you show it to him?
I did. I showed it on the camera.
A miniature BSE 9000. So, no matter where you are, you've always got this in your pocket. So, and look at the back. Look at the back. If you get bored, you've got a little game.
That's awesome.
Now, my fans know how to reach me.
Oh my goodness!
So,
you got a Buffalo Trace. Holy crap!
I actually got one last night as well. So I think they're trying to bribe me or something. So anyway, thanks everybody for the nice thoughts and the gifts and stuff.
Well,
Really
hey, I will say David Thomas bought me a 12-pack of Yingling, so I'm not alone in this deal.
Good deal. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for the gifts. Appreciate it.
Okay, I think I'm finally getting signed in to where I can see the comments. Maybe. There we go. Maybe.
Looks like we got somebody on the way here from Atlanta. Adam Gatton's on his way from Atlanta. Well,
yeah. Well, it's Niven's on his way.
Niven, okay.
Adam says audio sounds good. Leonard Burnett, see y'all next year. Josh's Trucking Adventures. Ryan stays loaded. Installed my OPS. Drilling holes wasn't bad, but those dang brass fittings and hoses was tough.
Really?
Other than that, it's easy install.
Really?
Well, I should be installing one here in the next couple of weeks, so I'll try to get some video. I've got a great video footage that I recorded today of Rocky doing a.
You get Larry doing that.
Yeah, Larry didn't do shit. Of Rocky doing bushings and an alignment on a truck. Yeah. So Matthew, I'm gonna have to catch us later. Oh, sounds like I nearly lost the bull gear in my truck. Got it stopped just in time. Yep, man, them bull gears will get you. Let's see, what else are we about to do?
You know, I have to say this because I know I've said it before, but I mean, I truly, I mean, feel this way. I mean, meeting the people that are here tonight for the first time, face to face, shaking their hands, and hearing them say things, Chris, like, you know, you've saved me thousands of dollars, or you kept me from making a mistake, or you did this, or I mean, when we get frustrated and we get thinking that this is just a lot of work for nothing, this brings it back home to make you understand that what we do is something that that there is that people do get a benefit from, and I just can't. The fact that we have this many people here, and the thing about this time is the commonality is it's from the podcast, and so to see this many people here, we got it was 50 people signed up for the event that gave up a weekend, paid the money. I mean, we got people that drove from New Mexico, Minnesota. I mean, it makes you feel very, very, it makes you feel like what you do is important. So I can't thank you enough that's we don't take that lightly. It puts a little pressure on me because I feel like I've got to now, give you your money's worth. But listen, I'm just going to do what I do. So hopefully you'll get something out of it, and we'll go from there. So
we've come a long way from that night in Laredo. We tried to record the first podcast in that thunderstorm.
I was telling somebody about that earlier. I was like, if you knew what episode 49 was going to be like, and I'm sitting in the truck in Laredo with a thunderstorm going on, and you could hear all these raindrops on the truck, and we've come a long way, and it's been a good ride, partner.
Surely has.
Yeah,
surely has. Well, I'm thinking as a programming note that before they get too drunk, we ought to try to do some of the.
All right.
We ought to try to do some of the interviews.
Who's going to be first?
It's a damn rowdy bunch.
It's a noisy damn bunch.
I can barely hear myself thinking here.
I'm with you, brother.
I'm hoping you'll have to tell me what this sounds like.
Is Rocky in the room? Anybody see Rocky?
He's right here.
All right, let's start with Rocky, okay?
All right.
We might as well start with a legend.
David, push that button on that.
Rocky, sit in this chair right here and take this microphone.
Yeah, there's a...
I can't hardly hear you guys, so...
There you go.
So, listen, we've talked about this guy over and over and over again. And now you're going to meet him in person, live and in person. This is William Rockefeller, a.k.a. Rocky. He was a Landstar BCO when we met him. He had started a side hustle of aligning trucks with the MD alignment technique. He learned from Mike Beckett, the guru of tires. You've heard me talk about him many, many times. And he was so successful with his alignment business that he quit being a BCO. And so we took his truck, and it was we had 4 trucks in our very first bunch of trucks that we started asset managing for other drivers. His was one of them.
Yep.
And it was a 2001 Classic.
Yep. Classic 84-inch bump.
Of all, and of course, I love Rocky to death. I couldn't turn him down, but I'm thinking, what the fuck are we going to do with this truck? I mean, now, what we ended up doing with it is, at that time, Chris was still driving, and Chris does so much for me and for Blue Ribbon. I just said, look, I'm going to use this as a reward for Chris. I knew Chris would love driving that truck because he's a trucker's trucker, okay? He only does what we do because he understands the business side of it now. But if it wasn't for business, that's a truck he'd be in. So I said, look, Chris, go drive his truck and have fun. He got about, 5.5, 6 miles a gallon out of it, which that's about what you get out of that truck, Now, it needed an engine overhaul, and that was prior overhaul. But we ended up putting one of our drivers in it a little bit later, William, our all-time fuel mileage champion. And what did he get out of it, Chris?
Oh, 7.5.
7.5,
Yeah.
So
unheard of.
Anyway, without further ado, Rocky, say hello to the podcast, universe. All right.
Yeah.
You got to. Only don't worry. There's about 2 million people watching.
Now make sure you stay up on that mic.
Got to stay up on this.
Real close.
Is that good?
Real close. Closer than that.
All right. I'm on it now.
Sorry, I had to hit a button. Now you got him.
Now talk.
Hello.
There you go.
There
Now we got you.
All right, we got it. Y'all can hear me.
We
Not
can
that you
hear
want
you.
to, but you can. We come up. This is our second year up here for the Blue Ribbon guys with Larry and Chris, with all the people they bring along and get a little education. And we come up, make the 700-mile trip, work on some of their trucks, and teach some guys about alignment and air pressures and everything that goes along with what we do. We've been teaching since we got here Wednesday night, since I got a call from Chris asking how far out I was to come by with an axle nut and help him swap out hubs on this axle swap he's doing on their new truck they're working on.
Well, that was a hell of a job.
So we got all that done, and we actually finished up some aligning and bushings on the front axle and torque rods and all on that one today. Got a bunch of work tomorrow and Sunday for a lot of the guys here attending the event. And hopefully some get to come out and see what we do and how we get the results that we get out of what we do. But it's been...
What would you say, you know, for an owner-operator that doesn't understand how important an alignment is to their tires, how would you, I guess, categorize? I mean, it could double the life of your tires? Is that fair?
Yeah, because we get so many that are getting 60, 70,000 miles out of a set of steer tires that we can do what we do and get them triple that out of them. From changing tires every 60 to 70 to 180, 200. I've got guys that have got over 220 on steer tires that
That's
had
incredible.
to change them because they ran over something in the road, so they changed the 2, but we're only down to 8/32 and could have got another 60 out of them. So we can save you, if you're going through 2 sets of tires a year, we can save you $2,500 over 2 years on 2 sets of steer tires, along with other maintenance problems that you have on the front end with kingpins and stuff like that are excessively wearing your steer tires.
So, especially for those watching on TikTok, I would love to hear you talk about the the proper method of greasing kingpins.
The proper method to grease kingpins. Everybody wants to pull it into the shop, and they put 2 squirts in the bottom fittings. They put 2 squirts in the top ones, if the technician at this place you're doing is even doing that. But the proper way to grease kingpins is to jack up the front end of the truck. Jack it up in the middle, get both sides off the ground. Turn the wheel to the left all the way, grease the top and bottom of both sides until you get some grease coming out between the axle eye, both sides of the knuckle. Turn the wheel to the right and grease them both again, top and bottom, both sides. Bring it back to center, grease them top and bottom, both sides, and grease them until new grease is coming out of the top and bottom. Because what we see almost 90% of the time when we pull the kingpin apart, the corrosion at the top and bottom of the kingpin, not necessarily worried about what's in the axle eye, because that doesn't get greased, but they are so corroded and full of moisture at the top and bottom of the kingpin because of all the moisture trapped in the grease, and they're never getting it greased properly and pushing all the old grease out, all the dirt, all the trash, all the moisture. They're never pushing it out, and they're never getting enough grease into the thrust bearing at the bottom of the axle to properly lubricate it, which will give you problems while you're driving down the road, vibrations and hard turning. So to properly grease it, jack it up, left, right, center, grease until there's all new grease coming out of the top and bottom of the axle eye where the grease should be escaping.
But Rocky, those are certified professionals. They know what they're doing.
Right, the guys at the shops, they're certified in knowing what the last guy that was there for 3 weeks taught them. And when he quit, this guy took over, but that guy told him to just grease each one of them 2 pumps, and that was it. But he's got his ASE certification, so he was able to pass the test, but didn't know what he was passing.
So is that where the 2-pump chump came from?
Yes, yeah.
2-pump
Yeah.
jump.
Yeah.
That's gold.
Yeah, so we find that all the time. And your shops, the guys at the shops where you're getting your service done, they're going to tell you, oh, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. We just grease them here, a couple pumps here and a couple pumps there. But then they'll put 40 pumps of grease in the freaking steering shaft, and you end up with grease all over your fucking floorboard on your boots. But they won't put no grease in the damn kingpins.
Yeah. Or slack adjusters. You know, I noticed Carl would put slack adjusters on a truck and they didn't have a grease fitting.
Right.
And he would take that plug out and put a grease
And put a
fitting in
grease
there
fitting
so
in,
you could grease the damn slack adjusters,
Right.
because you'll watch guys beat their brains out
Right.
trying to get slack adjusters off because the son of a bitch ain't been greased in a million miles.
But if you leave the plug in, Bendix will sell 100 times more slack adjusters.
Absolutely. I'm surprised they
Well,
haven't plugged him at all.
How dare you conspiracy theorists?
Yeah. Aren't you all glad Rocky, doesn't hold back and just tells it like it is? He's a shy guy. You have to kind of get to know him a little. You warm him up a little bit. What's your drink of? What are you drinking?
Right now, I think it's a Bahama Sunset or something. He's got me over there.
Bahama
But
Sunset?
When I fit,
Bahama Mama.
everybody's been buying me drinks. I don't know why. They're
Well,
trying to make me where I
yeah.
walk funny tomorrow or something. But my next
You got to
one,
watch this bunch here. They'll do that.
they
Okay?
will do
So-
that. So my next one, I'm going to be on my Crown and Ginger Ale.
All right.
So,
Well,
but it's a pleasure being here with you guys. I listen myself every week at home, or, if I'm home, my wife's like, "You're addicted to him." I was like, "No, I just got to see Larry."
who could be addicted to?
Right? I said, "I got to watch Larry."
No.
Well, this
you
West
guys are
Virginia
killing
weather
me.
is trying to get you to move up here,
It
ain't it?
is. I'm thinking about not going back to Florida. It was 103 today, right? So, what could have been better than this 76, 77 that we had here?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's
And
I
no humidity,
Right, no humidity, man. It's been perfect, been nice.
it's been miserable up here for about 2 weeks. So
Well, for
you
you.
got the good weather. You brought the good weather with you, I reckon.
Right, yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad it's staying for the weekend.
Well, man,
But, no,
we're glad you're here. We appreciate you
Absolutely.
coming.
Appreciate you being a partner in this deal.
Right,
Before I met you back in whenever that was, 2019, I guess.
19, I
is that what it
believe.
was? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I used to take my trucks to Kansas City,
Yeah.
to another MD alignment guy. And he's great.
He's awesome.
Great.
Chad is awesome.
But, having you here and a little bit closer and being part of the program, we're so happy to have you.
Yeah.
We really, really appreciate you being here.
And I'm
I
glad
know
to
you
be
took
here.
a lot of time out to come up here and do this, and
Yeah.
and we appreciate that. So, guys, Rocky Rockefeller, North Florida MD alignment. He's in the Jacksonville area. Okay, if you've got tires that are wearing funny and you can't figure it out, and you went in and paid for a computer alignment that still pulls and doesn't do right, believe me when I tell you this, you need to go down and see Rocky. He'll fix it to where it drives right. And if he doesn't fix it, he'll give you your money back.
Right, and we
Absolutely.
guarantee it. If you call me up and it's not driving right, we're going to do what we got to do to fix it.
There you go.
If it is a problem in your frame or something, I can't fix that. You're going to a frame shop. But most of the time, I can find that problem and get you pointed the right direction if it's something we cannot fix.
Right.
So look us up. We're on Google. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok.
I'm working on getting him to make better TikToks. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out this TikTok video and thing. I've got some up there, but I'm not a video editor. I'm a alignment guy. I can make the phone go straight. I just can't do all this editing stuff, just clipping and cutting.
All right, Rocky.
All right,
Listen,
guys. Thank
you very much for being
appreciate
here.
it, Rocky.
Thank you, sir. All right. So, man, what a fun guy, when he comes up here for the weekend like this, he's been here since Wednesday. He's
Yeah.
not leaving till Monday. So when he comes up here, we get all of our guys were here on Thursday. We brought most of our fleet in on Thursday. We had training on Thursday, and so we could get all the trucks here. So he could go over and look at all of them. And how much did he find? We found all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we get that all done while he's in town, and it's really, really nice. So okay, I see him coming. Richie Matthews. Richie Matthews. Would somebody get Richie Matthews? There you go, right here, buddy. Sit down there. So I need to take a few minutes to introduce this next gentleman, okay? First of all, he's a truck owner. He has been in the program now for a couple of years. He was the lunatic of the year in 2022. That means he was the top producing truck owner, top producing driver. And you guys have heard us talk about him. We've given a lot of anecdotal stories about Richie. Richie came to us when he was like 24 years old, Richie?
23, yeah.
And so, I mean, here's a guy in the infancy of his business life. And, the knowledge that he has now, the time value of money that he is going to be able to take advantage of with compounding interest. I mean, Richie is going to be a cajillionaire, He's a great guy. The good thing about Richie is that he listens, and he holds himself accountable. He allows us to hold him accountable, and he's become this superstar in Blue Ribbon lore, and will be a Landstar BCO legend. So, Richie, welcome to the podcast. Put that up to your mouth, real close.
Right
Closer
like
to
this.
that. There you go. Can we hear him, Richie? So,
And do we have a translator?
Listen, we got to hurry this up. I'm going to Titty Bar in a little bit.
no, you're not. He also, by the way, I met his fiancée for the first time this weekend, and I'm going to tell you something. I thought that I had married up, and I did, but listen, he has rung the bell, okay? His fiancée, Amber, she's the sweetest, smartest, brightest. I mean, Richie, I don't know what you did.
I'm kind of trying to figure out what she was thinking.
No kidding. I mean, there's got to be, there's something we're not seeing. I don't know what it is, but, I mean, maybe Richie's fooled us all this time and he's already a gazillionaire. I don't know, but whatever it is, he has rung the bell when it comes to having a fiance. Congratulations, by the way, buddy. And, so, why don't you go ahead and tell the people out there a little bit about, how you found us, what you've done here, what it's meant to you, because everybody's kind of curious about who you are and where you came from. So, take it away.
Well, I'm from Florida. Grew up kind of poor, kind of middle class in between there. Always worked since probably like 12 years old. And struggled with addictions and shit. And hit about 20 years old, and I wanted to get out. My cousin told me to go to CDL school and go work in the oil fields, and that didn't work out because I didn't have experience.
That's good.
That's good?
That's very
you
good.
Like it? It's root beer.
That's very good.
No,
there's more than root beer. There might be some root beer in it.
They're into that root beer moonshine.
There's more things than root beer in there.
But yeah, forgot where I left off.
You're from Florida?
Went and worked, turned 21, went to school, went to Covenant Transport and became a trainer by age like 22. And that was great. I really knew everything about truck driving, and I was able to teach these people everything I knew.
Weren't you? How long were you at Covenant? How long were you there?
Probably 2 or 3 years.
That long?
I came over here at 23. I was 2 months away from turning 24.
And when you left there, you were a senior trainer, were you not?
Senior. And
At 24 years old, right?
Travis was a master trainer.
Travis is a master trainer.
Master debater.
That we laugh about that because when Richie came here, he knows shit from Shinola, okay? He couldn't read a map. He thought that 12-volt DC would electrocute you.
Listen,
Okay.
I don't fuck with electric anything. And when Chris had me
He was
touching fucking
he was
batteries,
a senior trainer.
I wasn't having it.
Listen, y'all, the first load I put him on was a load of empty totes, which, right?
Very first load out there.
I wish I could hear what you're saying right now.
First load of totes, the very first
fuck
load.
you for
Your
that.
very first load.
And
How many placards did you put on?
At
30.
least 12 on each side.
12 on each side.
Yeah.
You put 48 placards
No,
on,
you-
and you didn't have some of you had to break in the building to get
Yeah,
some of
that's the
them?
best part. That's the best part. When I looked
Tell
at his
us about
paperwork,
that.
I realized that he didn't have all the right placards.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, we need another one. And he's like, you want me to break in? I'm like, he's like, there ain't nobody here.
It was like midnight, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was super late. So then I know that it's bulk because it's a bulk package, even though it's empty, you can't run the PA turnpike. And so I'm looking at the map on my phone, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll go up this road and that road and that road. And there's complete silence on the other end of the line. And I don't know what in my subconscious made me go, Richie, do you know how to read a map? And he goes, oh, no, we weren't allowed to have maps. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Now I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. Senior trainer, okay?
All right, go ahead.
They gave us a map from Chattanooga to Pomona, California. And they had, your trainer would map it out for you, and you would write all down the field stops and where you would stop for your 30-minute breaks and where you would swap out at, and that was about the extent of that.
So tell us about the time where you avoided a backup to deliver the road on time.
I-40.
Tell us all about that, okay?
So there's a backup on I-40 or I-20, I can't remember which, but it was a Walmart run, had a reefer on, and I decided to go out of route to get the load on time. It added 20 or 25 miles to the route, and I got the load there on time, but I got charged and got in trouble for going out of route through a backup.
Charge you $50 penalty, right?
50, something like that.
Yeah. God bless America, right? So,
Unbelievable.
And yeah. That's problem solving 101.
And we wonder why company drivers don't give a shit about customers.
Right, exactly.
You know, they don't care because they're programmed and trained to just shut up and do what they're told. No
Absolutely.
thinking. Don't ask any questions. Don't.
So Richie, tell us in a few words what has being here, what has that done for you? How has that changed your situation? And you don't have to sugarcoat it. Just say what it is. You know, just be honest.
Well, I think I'm a lot more prepared to be a BCO than what I would have been going to Lone Mountain, getting a truck, and then doing this on my own. I wouldn't have made it.
Go
Do
ahead.
you mind? I'm in the middle of something right now. Damn.
His
I
girlfriend's
can't have shit nice.
She wants us to ask you a
comments on
question.
TikTok.
No.
She wants us to ask you a question.
No.
She says, ask him what happened to the pickup.
No. Absolutely not. Mind your business over there.
Let him finish his story. Y'all leave him alone. Let him finish
Well, I
his
don't
story.
know where I was at because they wanted to interrupt my 5 minutes of fame.
We'll give you 10. Go ahead. We'll give you 5 more. Listen, I'm going to tell you a story about Richie, okay? I'm going to tell him a story, okay? And I'm going to try to do it third person because it really good was between Chris and me and Chris.
Are we talking about the wide 2-lane road?
Yeah, we are.
No.
So-
We don't. There's that statutes of limitations. We can't be doing that
Yeah,
shit.
we won't get specific, but allegedly, Richie made a decision. It was a poor decision, but for whatever reason, he decided that he needed to reverse direction on a wide. That's important. 2-lane road.
It's been 2 years and he's still hanging on that wide 2-lane road.
It was a wide 2-lane road.
Wide 2-lane road now. So anyway, that didn't end well for him. Okay, he ended up having to call a wrecker and get himself situated so he's back going the opposite direction without having wheels in the ditch and all that kind of stuff. So, and this is the thing I love about Richie. You know when you have your child, you have your kid, and they do something wrong, but they beat themselves up so bad that you can't punish them. You know. That's him, okay? So he calls up Chris. He says, "Man, I really." This is Richie's This is Richie's classic line. He calls up Chris. He goes, "Chris, I fucked up."
Yep.
And Chris
Exactly
says, "Yeah,
what he
well, tell
said.
me about it." He goes, "Yeah, man, you fucked up, all right." So
No,
what
he
we
sent me the picture.
Yeah. Well, we still
Wait
have
a
that
minute.
picture, by the way.
Okay, so he sent me a picture of the truck across a wide 2-lane
Can't hear
road.
him talking shit.
You'll be all right.
It's all good. It's all good.
He sends me the picture.
We're doing it out of love, okay?
He sends me the picture of the wide 2-lane road where the trailer is covering the entire load, and the landing gear is on the ground, and the truck is in a ditch, bent over like this. And I said, call the wrecker, and don't call me for payment. Call the wrecker. Don't call Larry. Don't call me. Just call the wrecker to get your ass out. And so he called the wrecker, and he got himself pulled out. So go ahead and finish your story.
Well, and of course, Chris said, that sooner or later you're going to have to call Larry. and tell him what you did. Of course, that's like wait till your father gets home.
Yeah.
Kind of a deal.
You wait till your daddy gets
So
home.
now he's just, he's dying inside because he knows he got to call me. Well, I already talked to Chris. I know what's going on. So
I've puked about 4 times.
I'm just playing along with it. So sure enough, Richie calls me. He goes, well, I'm not going to insult you with some kind of bullshit excuse. I just plain old ass fucked up.
Yep.
And of course, I already knew, and I'm trying not to laugh while I spank my kid. I'm
Right.
trying.
Right.
And I said, Richie, did you learn anything from it? Hell, fuck yeah, I did. I'm like, that's all that matters, okay? That's all that matters.
I learned that we need more horsepower in these trucks.
But how you have to love the guy. I mean, listen, I'm gonna tell you something else. I'm gonna try not to get emotional about this because this is the kind of guy he is, okay? And Richie, I don't think I'm talking out of school here, but Richie didn't have the greatest experience growing up. Okay, well, let's just put it that way, right? He didn't have the a very very great experience as a child. But Richie found success, and I didn't know him very well at the time. He'd only been here probably not even a year. But he's like, I have to take off for a week or 10 days. I don't know what it was. And I said, okay, no problem. What are you going to do? He said, well, I'm going to go to Yellowstone. I said, well, that's great. But what we found out later on was that Richie, because he could do it now, but he took his entire family to Yellowstone on an extended vacation, and he paid for everything. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but for Richie and the situation he was in to do that, I know he took a lot of pride in that, and he got a lot of enjoyment out of being able to do that. It just tells you what kind of guy he is, what kind of person he is. And that's the thing that we love about Richie, and that's the thing we love about this program, is because it's not about driving trucks. That's not what we do here.
Well, you're missing something. I tried to pay for the whole thing. My mama didn't let me. She paid for the rental car and their tickets.
Well, there you go.
I tried to pay for the whole thing myself, but she wasn't having it.
Well, anyway, we knew what your intentions were, okay? And it just really that kind of hit me because I mean that's just not you don't find 24-year-old guys that do that. And especially coming from, not the greatest experience when you were growing up. I get all that. But, he was mature enough to put that behind him and say, hey, what's happened in the past happened in the past. Let's just go forward. So anyway, I gained a lot of respect for him out of that situation. They probably don't even know about it. But anyway, that, the character is the thing that we're talking about here. That's what this comes down to is character. And in business, character is everything, Richie is he is excellent at and I hate to use this term. You all know I hate this term. Building relationships. He makes friends with agents. When Richie needs a load, he doesn't go to the load board. He calls his agent and says, "Hey, I need a load." Or they call. I look on the emails, and he gets an email every day. "Hey, Richie, here's all the loads we got available. Choose one. Which one you want?" That's the kind of person who is successful. Not in this business, but in any business, because his character is there. His intent is good. His heart is big. I've said before that we tried at one time to try to test people for what their level of what their ability when they came here. And I've told Richie this. I'm not saying behind his back. I've said in front of him. When Richie came to orientation, I looked at Chris and I said, he's got zero chance of making it here.
Yeah.
He has zero chance of making it here. We recycled him back into orientation because he wasn't paying attention to the first one. And Richie's a vapor, okay, which I need him to fix that because that's stupid. But he would go outside and vape. And we're trying to teach him how to do this shit, okay? And he's on his phone. And Chris finally said, Richie, put the fucking phone down, okay? And pay attention.
100%.
I thought, well, he ain't going to stay after that. He's out of here, right?
I might have said something about sticking the phone up his ass.
I think you did. And
something
by the way, we were doing this at his church, okay?
Easy now.
Now, technically, we were doing
We
it
probably
in
not. We probably not ought to bring them into this.
we technically were doing it in the what do we call that building?
Like the activity building.
We weren't in the sanctuary. Technically, we were in the activity building. So we could say fuck and not go to hell. Okay. So, or at least I hope we don't. But anyway, I'm like, he has no chance. He has zero chance. And then on top of that, we hired him at the same time we hired a Colombian. And I'm like, Chris, what are we going to do?
Y'all got to
if this
understand. Y'all got to understand. Listen, we had a guy coming from who's not an American, like not Native American. He wasn't born here.
No,
right?
he was not.
And he had a thick
Very
Spanish
thick
accent. And
Colombian accent.
I'm thinking, man, I've got to be a teacher to this guy, but what if there's a language barrier?
We had
Like,
a conversation. I said, Chris, what happens if he can't understand us?
Wasn't a problem.
We need
but
to get
this
an
one over
interpreter.
here couldn't understand a word he said.
This guy's from Florida, okay? Florida. Where you live? He lives in Tampa, by the way. Tampa, Florida.
No, he lives in Sonota Sassa.
Say that.
I grew up in
Sonota
Sonota Sassa.
Okay,
That's where he lives,
That's 5
okay?
syllables, okay? But he says it in 2.
So we get there, and we've got Christian, who's the Columbia guy. We can understand every word out of his mouth. I asked him, where are you from? He said, I'm like, what the hell did he just say? Can you say that again? He said again. I said,
It's Indian for land of Flint or some shit.
Can you enunciate that? I couldn't understand a damn thing he said.
Sonota Sassa, Sonota Sassa, Sonota Sassa.
Beyond that, I mean, I'm like, I have never ever
Google
met
it.
anybody that's from Florida that I could not understand.
What did Chris
except
say?
for
We
him.
got everything in our pocket we can look up Sonota Sassa.
Yeah.
Hey Siri, where's Sonota Sassa, Florida?
Now listen,
In between Tampa and Plant City.
That's how cocky he's gotten after being here. Okay, do you think his confidence level is going up
All
a
right,
little
listen, the internet has spoken, and everybody wants to know what happened to your pickup truck.
To what?
To your pickup truck.
They can mind their damn business. I may or may not have hit a golden yellow barrier
Barrier, a golden yellow barrier
around a fuel island.
In your pickup truck.
in the
In a
pickup
pickup
truck.
Well,
truck.
listen, I'm going to be honest with you. As long as you don't hit it with a big truck, I don't give a shit.
Really? Yeah.
So I'm okay.
I need
All
to
right,
have those
Richie.
things on the sides of the truck where it's like 3 nuns, 4 kids, a couple cats and dogs.
Well,
So give
hey,
us your closing thoughts, Richie.
Oh,
Wrap
man.
it up here for us, okay?
closing
You,
thoughts.
you better give some credit to your girl out there. She gonna kick your ass, okay? So
Yeah, she kept me doing this. There's
Yeah.
been a couple times where I said, fuck it, I want to go home. She kept me. Think about the future. What are you going to do when you come home? You going to sell drug dope? What are you going to do?
I'm gonna do a little time out here because you said that, and that made me think about something. And I got a gentleman right here that we've advised this to. When we bring somebody in the program, we make sure that their significant other understands what they're getting ready to do. Because what we do here is hard. It's really, really hard. Would you agree with
life
that?
altering.
And if you don't have the support of that person that you've chosen to spend the rest of your life with, you're not going to do this. And sometimes guys don't think that's important, but what about it? So you're saying you might not have stayed here if it weren't for Amber.
There's a few times where I said, this ain't for me.
Here's what I tell everybody. I said, look, when we're interviewing you, he is a drill sergeant. All he's going to do is kick your ass, okay? I'm the chaplain. I'm going to pick you up and hug you every once in a while. But your significant other has to be your cheerleader.
Yep.
That's the person that has to remind you why you're doing this, because this is not easy. You have to come here because we don't charge to be in the program. The profit generated from the truck is what pays everybody. So you have a full-time driving job, and you're going to school full-time to get a master's degree in business. That's not easy to do, is it?
No.
And so there's times when you have those days when you go, well, you know what? Why am I doing this? And Chris is not going to kiss your ass, and I'm going to try to make you stop and think. But that cheerleader at home is who keeps you focused on why we're doing it. And thank you, Amber, for doing that.
It's a lot easier when you can make money doing stuff that might not be good for you
Right.
back at home and it's easy to go back to, but you've got somebody in your corner going, I'm not going to tolerate that shit.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
figure it out.
And we've always said there are things that your spouse or your significant other can do to reward you or punish you that we cannot come close to. And that's where this comes in, you know, and you have to do it together as a team, you know, because it just doesn't work. You have to have that support.
And another side of that is I came into this going, I'm not gonna quit. If I leave, I'm gonna get fired. And after that alleged U-turn situation, I had my shit packed. I thought I was done. Like, no way Larry's gonna deal with this shit.
No, that's not true. You know, we don't fire people for a mistake. And we don't fire people typically anyway.
Right.
People usually fire themselves.
Right.
But all we're trying to do is make you learn. Well, everybody makes a mistake. The decision to make the same mistake twice, though, in and of itself is a decision.
Right.
And that's what we don't tolerate. So, Richie, thank you for being here. Thank you for being in the program. Congratulations on the culmination of owning your own truck now. I know Richie's plan is to own multiple trucks. He's going to stay in the program because he wants to become a dispatcher and have 4 or 5 trucks in the program. And we welcome you to do that. We're
And stay
excited
home
for
and
you.
smoke weed.
He wants to. I said that, but that's not what he said. He wants to stay home and dispatch trucks. But
I do want to dispatch trucks, but I want to smoke a lot of weed,
he
too.
wants to smoke a lot of weed and hunt alligators, right?
And hunt alligators.
And fish. Congratulations, Richie.
Thanks,
Thank
Larry.
you for being here, okay? All right. Wow. That was great, wasn't it? That's what, listen, you know, when you hear, there's times when we think that what we do is insignificant. There's times we think that who really cares, you know, what we do?
100%.
And then you get somebody like that where you know that you've changed their entire, as Dave Ramsey said, their entire family tree.
100%.
You know, and it makes it all worthwhile. I mean, you know, I'm going to say a couple things. Is my wife here? You know, I see my wife.
Last time I saw her, she was over that way.
Anyway, Monday night.
Listen, that's an interview that needs to happen.
That's true. Why don't somebody find Mary Lou?
I don't
y'all
think
find-
Mary Lou will come on this podcast, but I'm going to tell you right now, it would be absolute internet gold. And I'm gonna make a public service announcement
I'm going to try to get her. I'm going to find out where she is.
that they gave me. This is called a BMF. It's blue, and it's an MF, and I might not ought to be my second drink.
Okay, I'm going to try to get her down here. So I'm going to hold off what I was going to say. I just
Okay.
texted her.
Blue motorcycle. Yeah. Somebody said we should drink on every episode from now on.
We drink on every episode.
Well, not like this.
All right, what was I going to talk about? I was talking about. What was I going to talk about?
I don't remember what I said last. I'm not sure I can
Is
remember.
Willie
what-
Nelson in the room? Willie Nelson. Are you here?
Paging
Willie Nelson. Over here in the hot seat, Willie Nelson.
I hear. Is that the damn iPad? Oh yeah, them iPad's turned up. Paging Willie Nelson. All right.
Close
All right,
up.
hang on. I gotta put his name up here.
So the Willie doesn't know we were going to do this, I don't think. So anyway, I wanted to bring Willie in because Willie is strictly a podcast listener. You found us 100% from the podcast.
Right. Yeah.
And he's not in the program. You know, Willie, I'm not going to try to say too much that's out of that you wouldn't want said, but Willie's a part-time truck driver. He's a full-time fireman. And I think what he wants to do is after fire department is out of your life, you want to pursue a trucking business, whether as a truck owner, as a truck driver. And he found us on the podcast. And I'm bringing him up here because this weekend we have about 50 people here, and the commonality with all these people is this podcast.
Right.
And I can't express to you how I don't understand this. I'm thankful that Chris pursued me to do this.
You mean drug you kicking and screaming?
That too, but when we started this podcast in what, Chris? 2019.
August of 2019. We're dangerously close to the 4-year anniversary.
Right. Well, anyway, when
Had to
I
get my
when I
BSC
found
9000
Chris,
out.
when I found Chris, we've documented this. It's well documented, but he had already been chronicling his venture in trucking and the ups and downs of that, and I have, and then this is the God's truth. I have never stand by. I have never listened to a podcast before I was on one, and I've only listened to one or two since I've been on one. So the fact that people listen to these is I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm thankful that you do, because everybody here this weekend is here because of this podcast.
Yeah.
And Willie, I wanted to bring you up because, number one, you came a long way, Minnesota.
Yep.
Trucking's not even your full-time gig.
Not right
So
now.
tell us a little bit about how you found us and what makes this something that you have an interest in, that you would take off your job and come from Minnesota to, what do they call it? West goddamn Virginia.
West
Yeah.
And
by
spend
God.
a weekend. West by God, Virginia. Okay?
WBGV.
Well,
Anyway.
first of all, it's beautiful here. And I can't remember if I'm in Hurricane, West Virginia, or
You're in
Hurricane.
You're in Hurricane.
Okay, Hurricane.
If you want to be accepted as
Right.
locals, you're Hurricane. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that I stumbled across Chris a couple years ago when he was still doing the American truck driver thing, and that's how I found you guys.
Okay, good.
And I guess if I could sum it, you were exactly right, Larry. Someday, some way, some route, when I do finally pull the plug on the fire department, I do want to own my own trucking business. But I can't think about that without hearing Chris on my shoulder saying the freedom of owning your own business can be a really, really good thing. But if you do it wrong, it could be a nightmare.
Absolutely.
And I've never forgot him saying that.
yeah.
And so that's why I'm here. I did drive 1,000 miles to be here
God
Wow.
bless.
for that reason, to learn how to do it right,
Doesn't that just make you
to learn how
weaker
to
than
not
me?
do it wrong. Because I'm sure I could do it wrong. I'm sure I could make the wrong decision and do it not the wrong way. But
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
very grateful that you guys let me come here, even though I don't have a truck or a business or even drive full time. But
Let you come here.
super
We're honored that
grateful
you came.
to be here.
Come on.
I'm super happy to be here.
Yeah.
Super cool. And it's just beginning. This is night one, and I've already had a ton of fun. So I
So
can't
you
imagine what the
don't-
next 2
You
days.
don't have any trucking connections, or
He's part-time. He drives
Well,
part-time.
to be honest with you, as I graduated high school, I went to tech school for truck driving. And then I
Okay.
drove full-time till I was about 24, 25. Did a little over the road, did a lot of road construction, did some ready-mix truck, a little bit of everything. But then I got involved in the local fire department in my hometown. And that kind of derailed me, and I ended up being a full-time firefighter, which I do not regret at all.
Thank you
Very
for your
grateful
service,
for
by
that
the way.
experience.
Thank
No,
you for your
it's
service.
my pleasure, and I'm super grateful for that whole life experience as well. But trucking's always been in my blood. Even when I became a full-time firefighter, I still drove truck on the side, and still always will. But I would like to end up in it as an owner someday. That's the end goal.
So, you were attracted to Chris's story because obviously it chronicled his success and failure. Exactly what is it that made you, that you seized on that? I mean, what was it that, were you living sort of vicariously through that, or?
Yeah, I think I randomly searched truck driving podcasts and stumbled on a couple of them. One of them, the other one you guys have mentioned in previous podcasts. I still follow that one too, but Chris grabbed me because Chris was so transparent and so real.
Right.
He didn't cover up any of the bad days. It was like we were going through it with him, and it was so genuine
Right.
and so real. I couldn't shut it off.
Yeah, we hear that. I'm come from a professional photographer background. I tend to want, and you can kind of see around here, and
Yeah.
you see, I kind of like things to be kind of a certain level.
Right.
Oh, we lost everything. Are you there? Okay. I kind of like things to be a certain level,
Sure.
of standard.
Yep.
And I'm not saying Chris doesn't, but Chris is just raw. Chris just, the thing you admire about Chris is that, first of all, he has no filter, and
Yeah.
he has no shame.
That's a good quality.
He has. He's not embarrassed to talk about his failures.
Yeah.
And that's what endears you to him.
Yeah.
The reason we're together the only reason we're together is because he got on Facebook in the Landstar groups and said, hey,
Right.
I'm a failure and it's not anybody's fault but me.
Right.
And to see that or hear that or watch that from a man, number one, and a truck driver, number two,
Type A.
you just don't hear that.
Personal accountability in front of the whole.
In front of everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 11,000 Landstar drivers. You know how the blood and the water that created?
Oh man, I'm sure.
Because you know how many Landstar fleet owners were. I'm thinking, well, why would he contact me? You know.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that we share is the authenticity. You know.
Yeah.
When we first started doing the podcast, I'm like, Chris, we need to have better backgrounds. I'm a professional graphics person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this needs to be and he said, no. He said, what people want is real.
Yep. Keep it raw and keep it real, just like you guys are.
I didn't realize that then, but now I realize it more than ever because we don't, listen, you just see this. There's nothing about this that's polished, okay?
Yeah.
But, I understand we get 1 million TikTok hits a month.
It's amazing.
That's
it's awesome.
And it's not because of what we look like or what we are. It's because
Speak for
of
yourself, old man.
It's because we can relate to you.
Hey, one of our vendors saw his picture over at the place today on one of the banners and said, "Was Chris wearing makeup on that day? He don't look like that."
I can testify. Okay, Chris does not wear makeup. Okay, that don't happen.
But anyway, this authenticity thing, I just, I didn't understand it. But that's why you're here.
Absolutely, that's completely why I'm here. It was real.
Yeah,
Totally real.
And that's that's flattering. But at the same time, how easy is it to be on? I mean, how hard is it to present yourself in a way that's fake compared to just being you?
Yeah.
Why is that so special? But
I don't know. You'd think the truth would be the easiest way, but it's not always for everybody.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys. You're a much bigger deal than you think you are. And all the way to central Minnesota.
I can't believe it.
At least in my experience.
When you get Willie Nelson watching your podcast, come on,
don't put too much stock in
Nelson.
that. I can't sing and I don't have any weed, Richie. Sorry, so I'm out.
Do you have a bus outside?
No, I don't have that either. Don't have that either.
Willie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're very humbled that you would take your time out to do it. I know that it wasn't easy for you to do that.
No.
I know you had to kind of work your shift around.
It's already been worth it.
700 miles. I mean, I listen.
It's already been worth it. I appreciate it.
It's
2 more
good.
days of fun coming.
It's good, but in a way, it's bad because it puts so much pressure on me to deliver.
No, you're already delivering.
Thank you, Willie.
Yeah,
very
appreciate
much,
it.
Sir. Appreciate you being here. So, all right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do, I want to hear from Steve. You were complaining you drinking things. Complaining about drinking Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Up close to your mouth there, Steve.
Yeah.
Another guy, by the way, that we really appreciate you being here. You came from Minnesota as well, right? Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Far enough away, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Smoke from a distant fire, isn't that like a tune? Yes.
No, thank you.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry, guys. I hit the button. Anyway, this truck is incredible and looks like a race car. So I've got to know, what is the origin story of how you started down this path to make this truck into this 10 mile per gallon?
11.
Well, it's
Yeah.
10 average, right? Over the whole thing, it's over 10 now, right?
The last year, 11 for a year.
11 for a year. Did you guys hear that?
I
In a
don't, I don't drive as much as I used to.
I
It's
get
only
that. I
50,000
don't
miles.
listen. Don't minimize it. It's a 2001 International
Correct.
with a Detroit 12.7 engine.
Correct.
What are the other specs? 10 speed,
10-speed direct.
direct.
It came with a 264
Right.
6x4.
Right.
I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I don't know. Anyways, a few years ago, I switched it to a 6x2
6x2. Okay.
because, us in the fuel economy community are kind of competitive, and all the guys were kicking my butt,
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
6x2. So I decided.
Let me say that again. Us in the fuel economy community
Yeah. the
are
fuel
kind of
economy.
competitive.
Yeah.
That's the understatement of the world right there. So, I mean, the backup. Steve is a legendary high fuel mileage guy. Okay, you can look him up on fuel gauges if you're in fuel gauges. It's backdraft binder.
Correct.
Is that the rest? Is that all of
Yep.
it? So you can
Need
look him up.
Need you to come up on that mic just a little
Okay.
bit. There you go.
You can search backdraft binder, and that's him. Now look, I've got it on the screen this weekend, so you guys here will see it. I've got his last year or not, whatever you sent me. I went on there and I found his lifetime. I got both of them. You're going to have your socks blown off when you see this. But
So
anyway,
I remember as a listener of Kevin Rutherford back in the late 2000s when I first became interested or saw being an owner operator as a viable option for a company driver, that there was a destination, there was a place that I could go to achieve this level of freedom, to achieve this level of wealth. So was it the fuel prices of the late 2000s that spurred you into this world?
Well, I've always been interested in it. Actually, the family came up with an early drawing that I did that was dated 1991.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I didn't really get into it heavy until we hit like $4 or $5 a gallon. I don't know how many years ago that was now, but
Almost 20.
yeah. And I've been working on it ever since. And
were you? I mean, is this something that you? I mean, was it? Were you motivated because of the fuel price, or is this just something that? I mean, is just a good business person and controlling costs? Is that just in your nature?
yeah, and I grew up in business during the energy crisis, where there was fuel lines and countries that aren't very friendly to us controlling us, and
Sure.
that's kind of a motivating thing as well. But now I've only recently discovered that I'm a lunatic.
We discovered that a long time ago, Steve.
Well, I think my family's been aware of it for a long time.
Yeah.
They're usually the first ones to know.
Yeah.
It's they'll tell you it's an obsession.
So,
Yeah.
and I know we probably, for the fairness of the audience, to because we have mentioned you and your truck from time to time, and I think it's reasonable for people to say, "Oh, there's no way." But number one, you have the data. You have the fuel gauges data for. I mean, you've tracked 1 million miles, right? In
I
fuel
think
gauges.
1.3 million, I think, something like that.
So not only do you have the receipts that show that you have a truck that is capable of an average of over 10 miles per gallon, one thing that we have to be reasonable about as we're teaching people is somebody's like, well, should I go ahead and change my rear ends? And I'm like, well, but you have to do the math. You have to get out the BSE 9000 and you have to do the math on today. Is it worth the capital expenditure? I'm going to spend $5,000 to $8,000 to change my rear ends, and then I'm going to have to calculate, okay, I'm going to save X number of fuel based on the amount of money that I put in. You've been doing this so long. How much of this is just this gradual pattern up from, like, what was the first thing that you did to this truck that ended up to where it is today?
Well, the first big thing I did, I made a trailer boat tail, called it a backdraft, and it was very effective, but it's pretty difficult to use, and there's no way I was ever going to monetize, like selling that. It was just, for my own use, and it's one of those things that they say, all a driver has to do, and then just stop right there because the driver ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want
How many drivers you seen going down the road with that
trailer tail
folded up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they give a shit, right? I remember the first time I met you was at one of the early CMCs, and you had just done all the stuff under the trailer.
Correct.
Because I was a photographer, and you had wanted me to take pictures of that, and that's how we met. And so I was just amazed at how aerodynamic that, I mean, this is beyond the tractor. You're in the trailer now, And, I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Well, we've just recently used the panels now. We've revamped them a little bit and connect the, what we call the rail fin. Kind of comes out at a 45-degree angle, 6 inches, which puts us about 3 inches out, which is legal.
Right.
And we find it's pretty effective.
But back then, though, you had done all these panels that took away all the ribs. I mean, the bottom of the trailer was just as smooth as the side.
Yeah.
Right. That's what impressed me, right off the bat.
It was a lot of work, but now it's kind of developing into a whole system.
Sure. Well, you've evolved, obviously.
Right.
Because that had to be back in about 2010, 2011, long in there, when that happened. So, yeah.
Now, 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to start with a fresh slate, so I bought a new dry van, because before I had a reefer with a lift gate on and toolboxes, and I worked around that as best I could, but there's a lot of stuff in the way, so I just wanted to start with a clean slate and make a system that the driver doesn't have to interact at all. And that's where we're at right now. So
when we talk about the lunatic truck, and you can go to blueribbonlogistics.com/truck and kind of get a list of what our objective is when it comes to speccing a truck. We're talking about choosing the truck with the right gears, because if you choose the wrong truck, doesn't matter what you do to it, it's not going to matter. If you get a Super 10 and a 390s, you got a real long road to hoe to get fuel mileage out of that truck, no matter what you do to it. But we talk about the modifications that we should do to the truck, because we're trying to get into the 7.5 range. That's what I would consider our reasonable goal with a lunatic truck, is to get in the 7.5 range, and all the numbers work out. When you start getting into 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, and 10, man, you're just making money on the fuel. You just, it's incredible what you can do at that point. But we have 2 trucks in our fleet right now that we have seen the average fuel mileage on that truck raised by 1 mile per gallon, and all we did was change the driver. Yeah. We didn't change the tires. We didn't change the gears. It didn't matter. We changed the driver. The driver, I'm looking at y'all, the driver made a 1 mile per gallon difference in the operation of that truck, which is incredible, because all that is a choice. It's a choice on how hard you push that throttle. It's a choice on how you shift the gears. You can whine about the weight You can whine about the traffic. You can whine about the hills. But you can change the driver and get 1 mile per gallon. Larry, what's 1 mile per gallon? $15,000, $20,000
Right now
a
it's
year?
15 grand. Yeah.
$15,000 from making a decision. What Steve has done from a physics and aerodynamics is incredible. But when you can make a decision on how you drive that truck, can put $15,000 a year, which is enough to put your kid through college. That's the thing that I think comes back to that changing of identity. Because if you don't see yourself as a business owner and you won't think about the consequences of your actions, all the aerodynamics in the world don't matter. Because I'm sure somebody could get in your truck and drive it like a bat out of hell, like they stole it, and it'd get 7, right?
Well, it does have the VG turbo on it conversion, so yeah, you can abuse it if you want to.
Right.
You know. Now, to go back though, you were talking about spending money on changing gears and that. Now, when I actually went to the 6x2, I needed the rear to be rebuilt, so I didn't want to spend money on something that I didn't really want anyway. So I bought a cutoff in North Carolina for like, I don't know, it's $2,500. So I went down there, picked it up, and started swapping stuff around. I lost more time than what there was in cost, really, you know, because it's a complicated deal. But I went from the 6x4 264 to a 6x2 and 250 ratio. And with the 10-speed direct at 250s with the VG turbo, yeah, I got a lot of control. And I think we'll have a slide tomorrow that shows the dyno test, and you know, it's amazing. The torque on it, you know, there's very, very flat torque.
Dude, well, I had a question, but Richie's fiance is an enabler, and she just brought me a full one of these. And unfortunately, my brain's not working quite as well as it was 20 minutes ago.
Why are you favoring him?
Gosh, and it was a good one. The aerodynamics. Okay, I've been a big race fan, NASCAR, drag racing, all that kind of stuff for years. And I know that the kind of millions of dollars that these race teams will spend to get 1/10 of a mile per hour or 1/10 of a second. How did you come up with this aerodynamics? Was it trial and error? I mean, you know, how in the world did you come up with this? Because this truck looks like a race car.
I don't know if you've noticed, it doesn't really look like a 9400, the hood.
No,
Right.
No.
The fenders and the bumper are from a Mac Vision.
Yeah.
And that's a project I had in my head for a long time, but, you know, it's complicated and expensive. So I hit a deer and, you know, it had this aluminum bumper, which folds like a cheap lawn chair, and it always does progressive damage. So.
Yeah, bumper.
So my cousin had a shop, and right next door there's a body shop. So I walked over and explained what I wanted to do, and would he be interested in doing, you know, I cut the fenders off and clamped them where I wanted them. And he said, yeah, we can do that. And so what I got from the insurance company just about paid for the whole thing. So there was a conversion that didn't cost me anything, and I chose the Mac Vision because it had the best radius by the headlights and going around the corner. And with the bumper with those radius and putting the splitter on there, you increase the air pressure in the middle, which kind of tends to slough off air to the to the sides, but the very middle of it, it raises the air pressure and keeps it from going underneath. So it kind of forces it through the radiator, and I have a hard time actually keeping temperature.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you're pulling a mountain, that's a different thing.
Right. Well, it's listen. I mean, as a kind of nerd, that loves like race cars and horsepower and all that kind of stuff. It's absolutely amazing what you've done with this truck.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious what your. I remember some years ago, there was a news story where Shell, I know Shell and maybe Picar or somebody, but they had spent millions of dollars to get out of a truck what you did.
Yeah, that the guy that started that, actually he got me thinking about aerodynamics. He had a cab over way back when, and he kind of made a bubble in front of it to increase his mileage, and it just kind of planted a seed in I don't know the guy's name, but his project was like, well, yeah, if you put your mind to it, you can do changes like that. So,
well, when I see and I saw it in a TikTok comment this past week, where I made a TikTok about Rocky doing an MD alignment, and he was talking about the cone, versus putting the cone in and just torque it to 300 and it'll be okay, versus doing a Dr. Preload, and just making sure that you have a proper alignment. And the comment was, oh, so I guess we're not supposed to trust the OEMs? And I'm like, no, I don't trust the certified professionals for nothing. And so, it's almost ironic and comical to me that you, kind of a layman, have achieved this unbelievable standard with 22-year-old technology in the basic building and design of the truck itself. I mean, I love that because I love kind of sticking it to the man a little bit, and saying, I know you guys think that your 2024 is all that, but hey, here's a 2001 that will kick your ass 7 days a week if the operator chooses to drive it correctly. And so how much, I guess my final question would be, with all of the investment and time that you've put into this truck, how much of it's driving?
I'll go with a third. I mean, that's what that's what they say, and it kind of makes sense to me.
We don't have any numbers to
I didn't.
It's kind of hard to quantify.
Nobody's ever drove my truck but me.
It's up to you. Yeah.
I mean, I can.
Hey,
I can
listen,
roll.
I know a guy. We'd love to put him in your truck.
Yeah.
Because he got 4 miles per gallon in our trucks. Let's put him in your truck for a week to see what happens.
Yeah, well, you can roll. You can roll coal with the truck for a short period of time until the turbo catches up. But,
So Steve, I'm a numbers guy. So when you're getting 11 miles, I looked at your numbers. Your average cost per mile is low 30s. Is that where we're?
Yeah, I think right now I actually hit when I went down south. So fuel was a little cheaper. I got it down to 25 cents a mile.
25 cents a mile.
Now that's because it was cheap.
I get
fuel,
that, but still, you accomplished that, okay?
Yeah.
Well, let's just go back to average. I know your average is low 30s, all right?
Yeah.
What's the financial difference? What's the bottom line difference not running the truck when you've got a 30-cent per mile cost per mile? Even if you're getting fuel surcharge, if you're matching fuel charge, we're looking at 52, 54 cents. You're still a quarter a mile in revenue. You know how many people are beating up brokers to get a quarter a mile? And you're getting it by just what you've done to your truck? I mean, that's phenomenal, right?
It's not only the money you save on fuel, it's what you save on tires and drivetrain.
Absolutely.
Because when you're pulling a parachute, it's hard on everything.
It's hard on everything. Maintenance, everything. Yeah.
So that's something, people don't look at, they want a return on investment in
Right,
6 months.
right,
So that's
right,
not going to happen, And I was at a NACFE event, and they had it was from Cummins, a woman engineer, and I said, I brought this up, that nobody ever says that you save on maintenance and tires and everything when you have better aerodynamics, and the wear and tear on the engine is measured by how much fuel goes in, not how many miles, not how many hours. It's how much fuel goes in. When I said that, she shook her head yes. And it's hard to quantify, and people just don't realize it.
Well, Chris, something's happened here. Hello, there we go. So, we're all about here, we're all about controlling costs. That's what we do here. We teach people how to control costs. We teach people how to maximize revenue. We teach them the difference between the two. When you increase revenue, there's a cost to that. Mm-hmm. When you cut costs, there's no cost to that. I mean, it's 100%. Whatever you save, you save.
Yep.
And to get to a quarter a mile per gallon in cost savings, think what you have to do in revenue to equal that in this market.
Right.
Yeah. And so these people are here all this weekend because they want to know how to stay in business in this current market, and even if it gets back to quote normal, how do we maximize the profit on what we do? And fuel is our number one cost. I mean, it by far is the number one cost. And what we teach guys is that it's also the one that's the easiest to affect, because most of the things that affect it are just decisions, And so that's why we have you here this weekend. We appreciate you being here. We look forward to hearing all you guys and what you've got to say. Do you want to talk anything about your product, or we just want to?
Yeah. What's your website?
Best just to go on Facebook to Backdraft Aerodynamics, or my Facebook page, because our website, I don't think we've touched in 10 years. So
I told people if they'll Google Stephen Cron fuel mileage, you'll be able to find pictures of the truck. That's what I just did.
Right.
On the internet. So just Google Stephen Cron fuel mileage, and his truck will come up. And you can see what he's doing, because I want everyone to understand that the thread of what we do here is that you can do this. You can learn maintenance. You can learn finances. You can learn bookkeeping. Nobody's going to teach it. You're going to have to be curious enough to find it on your own, because it's not beneficial to people that want to make money off of you for you to learn aerodynamics. It's not beneficial for people for you to learn economics. It's not beneficial for people for you to learn these things. But you can do it. You absolutely can do it. So don't ever let anyone try to tell you that you can't figure it out, because you can't. That's the hardest part. If you can look in the mirror at the person that's looking back at you and says, you know what, you're smart enough, you're wise enough, you're capable enough to do this, you can do it. And Steve, I believe, is a living example of that. So Steve, thank you for being here. We appreciate you, and we're glad to have you here.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, I'm looking out here in the crowd, and I know how much she's going to hate this.
Oh, you have no idea.
I have no. Well, I kind of have an idea.
No, you're going to get me the biggest ass whooping you've ever imagined me getting.
But I need, listen. The people have spoken. The people have spoken. We need to understand the woman behind the man.
Is it a lightning truck?
She's coming over here to yell at me. She don't want to.
It's a C. It's a.
Okay, can I have 5
gotta be-
months? 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. It's 5 minutes.
Did she
Just 5
leave?
minutes.
Did she run?
2 minutes.
You told her
2
hold
minutes.
on and you went.
Okay,
she
2
leave?
minutes.
I don't know.
Can I have 2 minutes? Yes. 100%. 100%. 2
Oh, she
minutes.
right there?
That's all I'm asking for. All I'm asking for is 2 minutes. You are a confident professional. What? No.
Take it.
Oh.
Take it.
No, I'm saying.
No. 2 minutes. All right. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to get my computer to work and I'm friggin' hammered. And oh my gosh, I think my mouse died.
So, is she on camera yet? No, she's
Well,
not.
I'm trying.
Listen, I'm going to get an ass whooping tonight, okay,
I'm
because
trying.
of this. All
Listen,
right, let's leave it.
I will take full responsibility for this.
Yeah, but that ain't
But
going to happen.
unfortunately-
When we got in my room tonight, that ain't going to happen, okay? So.
Unfortunately, my mouse has died, so she's on the screen, but it says Stephen Cron. And my trackpad has died, and I can't change the name. So let me apologize.
She probably likes that because that way she can remain anonymous.
She can remain anonymous. So this is
Listen.
Listen.
Hang on a second. Let me. I need to introduce this person. Okay, this is my wife, my partner. This is Mary Lou. Monday night, August 14th, we celebrated our 47th wedding anniversary, and that's phenomenal. I think in and of itself.
That
But
qualifies
if
her
you
for
guys
sainthood.
you guys knew what she's put up with for 47 years. And anyway, I love you. I thank you for putting up with me for all this time. And this is not me. This is him. Okay, so keep that in mind. Right? Do you need a glass of wine?
No, thank you.
Listen, you have the ability to give us the perspective because we interview spouses. We tell people we want to talk to the spouse because the spouse has to understand what they're getting into, right? I don't feel that it is a moral position for me to feed into someone's desire to be self-employed and not go to the spouse and say, do you understand what you're getting into right now? But you have been the spouse of a self-employed person for 47 years, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think your input is absolutely vital because you've lived it for 47 years. You know the mind of the self-employed person. We're a little crazy.
Should
Sometimes-
I leave? Should I walk away?
Sometimes that probably would be a good idea.
She could sit here and I could just leave.
I could have a conversation with Mary Lou because the spouses need to understand what it's like being married to an entrepreneur because they're a little crazy, they're a little off. You know, they can bring you great wealth, they can bring you absolute nightmare, right?
He's rationalizing this.
I'm trying
with all this
but
crazy.
listen, you have for all any spouse that's listening to this podcast that has a person who desires to be self-employed, the spouse has to understand what that means, right? Is that
true.
fair?
That's true. That's true.
It's fair, right?
I guess it's fair.
Keep it close to your mouth. Close to your mouth.
I guess it's fair. It is true that that there is more give, I think, when you're married to an entrepreneur. Than there is take on my part. We're very fortunate that I've had the steady job, during the time we were married, and that our benefits, like health insurance, came from my job. But, Larry was the risk taker, and I am not. So it's been a marriage of opposites in that way, at least. But I think we do have shared values, and we both gave each other the room to do what we wanted to be happy. So
So if you were to give advice to the young, of any age, I guess, but the spouse of an entrepreneur, because we are a different bunch. We are people who are not afraid of taking risks, and I'm sure if my wife Karen was here to testify, she would say that I have taken risks in our life that have been detrimental to her, because the entrepreneur can be very selfish. The entrepreneur can be I feel like with the best of intentions, because we want what's best for our family. And we always feel that like we can achieve if just give me the opportunity, give me the ball, coach, and I will go for the touchdown. So if you were to give advice to the spouse, male or female, of the entrepreneur, what would you tell them to help them keep their sanity while the entrepreneur is out trying to slay the dragon?
And I'm supposed to have the words of wisdom for this.
He talks about how you're an English teacher, so you got all the words.
Hey.
If I were to speak to a young spouse whose husband or wife is wanting to pursue a dream, I really would say let them go for it. Have an agreed upon time, a length of time that the dream's going to be pursued, and that at that end point, sit down and examine it and talk about what was viable, what's not. Because I've been through this with Larry, how many times?
Yeah.
There was dry cleaning, there was photography. Along the way, there were other more minor ventures, and then trucking. So, it hasn't happened just once.
It never happens just once. No.
And I think that sometimes the dream was more his than mine. I think with trucking, it's more equal than it has been on any of the other ventures.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wasn't around for the dry cleaning. I've heard the stories, but it sounds to me from hearing it secondhand that, that was an all-encompassing your whole life. You had a full-time job, and then you would spend evenings working in the dry cleaners. Like, did you have to own that entrepreneurship as the spouse, even though you may not wanted to have owned that entrepreneurship?
That was the venture I hated the most. Okay. And it is true that I worked all day. We had a son. I had two parents who were not in great health. And I was over there in the evening sewing on buttons and learning how to put shirts on a steam press. I hated it. So that's one of the ones that, it was not going to go on forever. There was going to be a point where we sat down and we had an agreement about, are we going to continue or are we not going to continue this business venture? And thankfully we sold it. Mm-hmm. Because I'm telling you the truth, I really disliked that one. Photography I didn't feel that way about. Trucking I certainly don't feel that way about. But, I come back to, we've gone down this road many times. And
now I've heard Larry's version so many times of the story where he was at Transport America and he saw the opportunity and wanted to go write that check to buy that truck. I've got to assume that you were not surprised when he calls and says, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go buy this truck because ... there's this opportunity in trucking that's way beyond being a company driver.
I didn't tell her for a while.
That's true.
But you couldn't have been shocked, right?
I wasn't shocked. And Larry's a good persuader, and he loves to talk. and he's a salesman. So, we've been down that road
Right.
several times. So, no, I wasn't surprised. He has a bigger vision than I have, but I'm not without vision.
Right. Okay.
So-
That's fair.
Yeah, he's had to talk me into it every time.
I wish y'all could have been in the room when I realized, when I had that conversation with Larry on the phone after my big moment of telling everybody that I had screwed up, and I realized that, I was the problem, it wasn't anybody else. And I had literally a 5-minute conversation. I was sitting in the parking lot at Speedway in Winfield, West Virginia, when we talked on the phone for the first time, and I went, okay, this guy's different. He's a businessman, right? And then I had to, first I had to convince myself, right? I had to go do the math, and I went, okay, well, if I did what I did in my own truck, here's what the outcome would be. And then I had to walk in and talk to Karen for the first time. And I tried to get her to go to a meeting that she absolutely told me refused. She said, I'm not going to meet this guy. And I said, oh, you're going to get in the truck. If I have to drag you by your hair, you're getting in the truck and we're going to go meet this Larry Long guy. I never felt like he was a charlatan. I felt like he was someone that was telling me the truth based on experience, right? That seemed to be the difference for me as an individual. That what he was telling me was based on experience. It wasn't some pie in the sky, horseshit, come work for me so I can benefit off of you. He was a real businessman. I have no idea where I was going with this because I've got way too much blue MF working through me. But I just felt he was the real deal. That he wasn't going to sugarcoat. He wasn't going to lie to me. He wasn't going to try to coerce me. He was going to say, look, here's the opportunity. If you want the opportunity, here it is. And I went, yes, I want the opportunity.
I remember that first meeting with you and Karen. I think I met you together, I believe.
No, you met him at the truck show. The first meeting,
Yeah.
I was just me.
Yeah,
At
the first meeting was
Cracker
just
Barrel
him.
Okay.
We met at the truck show for the
Yeah.
first time.
And I remember talking about you with Larry. And my initial impression was that guy is really smart. And I'm not trying to give you the big head, okay?
Please
Definitely
don't.
I'm not.
He doesn't need that, okay?
And I said, he is among the most honest people, the most genuine people I've ever met. I remember when I met you and Karen, it was at that restaurant. I mean, it was evident in every ounce of Karen's being that she did not want to be there.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I tell you what she was looking for. She was looking for you to validate all of the things that she believed correctly. She believed correctly that I was full of shit, right? This was just another scam, another scheme, right? And she was looking for you to validate that. And I think what you did was kind of validate the opposite, that self-employment is valid. It's risky, but it's valid. And you gave her a lot of peace because you kind of didn't validate her fears. You went, okay, well, yeah, there's risk involved, but this is a real thing, and people do this on a daily basis. People engage in business, and you helped a ton. I mean, hell, you probably saved my marriage.
Absolutely. Well, and I also remember
I'm married today because of Mary Lou Law. Y'all write that shit down.
Well, another thing is that, and I remember specifically, you guys asked us, Larry, when you make a decision, do you involve Mary Lou? What does that look like? And I remember us talking about that. It may be my idea. It may be something I want to do, but I always had to get it to where she was on board. And that's how I did things. I mean, she didn't always agree, but I think a lot of times she's trusted me And she said, okay, well, let's try it. I don't think she always was sold, but I think she trusted me. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking for her.
I trusted you, but I think there were times when I would ask you the questions, and I wanted to know so what's your answer? What's your solution for this? And if you didn't have one, then that was not something we needed to do.
Right.
You know, it was that simple. And I don't feel like I was selling Karen or you. I thought I was just answering her questions and her concerns, and then whatever the decision was that y'all made was your decision.
Yeah.
But I'm glad y'all made the decision
100%.
to do what you did, you know.
100%.
But yes, I do remember that meeting very well. And I
do
thought Karen, you know, she had been hurt.
She had every reason to believe that this was the opposite of what it was.
Right, yeah. I just saw her as someone who had a ton of questions and had been hurt and did not want to be hurt again.
Right.
That was really what I saw.
Absolutely reasonable.
I think, in all honesty, Chris, she had probably lost confidence in you a little bit this time.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
with good reason.
And she was looking for Mary Lou for validation of what if I was the real deal or not. Now, I remember Karen's mother saying, "What are you going to do when Larry Long goes away?"
Yeah.
What happens if Larry Long's not what Larry Long is? I remember you saying that.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that whole meeting was about, is this real or is this bullshit? Mm-hmm. You know, and Mary Lou probably was more of a authenticator than I was.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've
100%.
got to get around the quote salesman and talk to, you know, the person that had nothing to gain.
Yeah, because and that's again, to circle back, that's why we bring the spouse into the conversation
Exactly.
of the interview, because you cannot be in business and your family not also be in business. This is just it brings you all in, and if you try to hide this from your spouse, if you try to exclude this from your spouse, you're going to fail, right? And it's one of the many reasons that the 95% failure rate is what it is, because the entrepreneur is a little bit crazy, is a little bit mentally unstable, because you have to be to get where we are, right? But if you don't bring the spouse in, if you think for a second that you're going to do this without involving your spouse, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Okay? Write it down.
I mean, look. I would have not accomplished anything I've accomplished if Mary Lou wasn't the supporting partner that she was. She didn't always agree with it.
Right.
There were times when she questioned it, but she let me do it. We had the advantage of her
Income and stability, probably.
stability. That's the word I'm looking for. You know, and so and I've said this before. You know, that's a tool in my toolbox, a huge tool. But I took advantage of that. You know, I realized, and I've told everybody here, if you have a supporting partner, you have a huge advantage.
100%.
A huge advantage. And if you don't nurture that, if you don't get that going on, you're giving away probably the biggest trump card that you have that you can use to help you overcome the odds that are against you. And listen, I would not be anywhere where I was today. I know we told you 2 minutes, we're way past that.
Yes.
I love you. I thank you for being here.
Listen,
he's the one that did this, not me.
Oh, yeah.
So can we still sleep in the same bed tonight?
Maybe.
Okay, all right.
Okay, can I leave now?
Yes, ma'am. Listen, I thank you for coming on and validating this podcast and making it what it is.
Thank you.
Because you are the absolute support system that he needs to make this happen. So thank you for being here.
No question.
Thank you for doing this.
Listen,
ladies and gentlemen, Mary Lou Long.
Listen, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I'm going to tell you something. You know, I'm smart enough to know that if I get enough people in my tribe that's smarter than me, it doesn't do anything but help me. So I've got that person, I've got this person, I've got these people out here. Let me tell you something. That makes me look really, really smart. But the only thing that made me smart was that I was smart enough to realize to surround myself with people that were smarter than me. And I thank all of you for doing that. So thank you, Marilyn. Appreciate you.
Here's what I need you to do, because the internet is asking for Amber Cunningham. They're chanting.
They are.
Amber. But what I need you to do is I need you to fill some time for about 3.5 minutes so I can go to the bathroom. Okay? So if you'll fill time for about 3 minutes.
Are you asking Amber to fill time?
No, I'm asking you to fill time.
Okay, with Amber?
No, just fill time for about 3 minutes. And then ladies and gentlemen of the internet.
Let me get a guess. I can't fill time for 3 minutes.
Amber Cunningham, fiance of Richie Matthews.
Let me get
in
a
the
guess.
house. Okay? Because she's coming up next. But if I don't go to the bathroom, some really bad things are going to happen.
Let me do this. Let me get Chase Bryant.
Okay.
From DPF. Could y'all get Chase right there?
Yeah, go get Chase.
Let me do this, and then we'll bring Amber up, okay?
All right.
And I'll do Chase.
So I'm gonna bring
right?
Chase Bryant up. I'm gonna bring Chase Bryant up, and then I'm gonna.
Did you ever get it where we can change the name?
Yeah, I got that fixed. But if I don't sneak off to the bathroom, some really, really bad things.
Do you know how it feels when you really, really, really go to the bathroom really, really bad? I'm talking to you. Do you know how it feels when you really, really, really go to the bathroom? Really? Is he done? All right. Is Chase on? All right. This is Chase Bryant. Listen, I was flabbergasted to find out that there is a DPF Alternatives franchise in Hurricane, West Virginia. I guess, are you really in Milton, or technically where are you? We are in I need a microphone, Chase. Stand by. I need a microphone. Thank you. Real close, Chase, okay? So,
Very good.
Are you in Hurricane?
We are in Milton.
Milton, I thought so.
Yes.
Okay. Which is about, what, 5 miles from Hurricane?
Yeah.
So, everybody, this is Chase Bryant. We met Chase a couple years ago, and we have connections. I don't know if you remember or not, but I have a really, really good friend that used to work for the company he used to work for.
Right, Snap-on Tools.
No.
Oh, Philip Morris.
Philip Morris.
Yeah.
You took his route after he was a photographer. He left Philip Morris and became a full-time photographer.
Right.
You took his route.
Right.
He knows you. I don't know if you know him, but I've asked him about you. But anyway, and then you were Snap-on Tools distributor.
Sir. Yeah, I was with Snap-on for 18 years, and that's how I came into DPF Alternatives.
Right.
Because of my diagnostic background with Snap-on Tools.
Take a few minutes and tell everybody what DPF Alternatives is.
Well, DPF Alternatives is an after-treatment process that we can clean DPF and after-treatment systems.
Right.
So we can do anything on-road, off-road that is diesel emission regulated by the government.
Right.
So we are a nationwide franchise. There's roughly 100 franchises nationwide.
Okay.
And I think the thing that the customers really like about DPF Alternatives is that we offer a 1-year cleaning guarantee when you use our Stage 4 process.
Okay.
And our Stage 4 process is basically getting that filter, that DPF filter, back to 99% of OEM spec.
Gotcha.
With that service, we also clean and restore the DOC, the diesel oxidation catalyst in front of the DPF.
Right.
And we offer a 24 to 48 hour turnaround. So
Right.
your drivers, when they plan for the service, can plan for a limited amount of shutdown
Gotcha.
and be able to maximize their time and their profitability.
Now, to be clear, you don't work on vehicles. You have to have the product brought, or the item brought to you, and you service that item. Not necessarily you don't take it out of the truck, right?
Some DPF alternatives locations are actually have technicians
I see.
and do the R&R.
Right.
My location, we offer pickup and delivery.
I got you.
So we handle the whole state of West Virginia, southeastern Kentucky, and southeast Ohio.
Great. Now, you also have the ability to do some repairs, as I understand, now I may be wrong, on like one boxes and things. You don't have to necessarily replace them. You can go in and do some repairs to them?
Yes, sir. Some manufacturers require you to replace a DPF filter if the sensor port is
Right,
damaged.
right.
Well, we can repair the sensor port for a fraction of the cost. You don't have to replace the DPF. We also offer Recore, and some locations offer new core. So that's basically pressing out the substrate and pressing in brand new substrate in the OEM can.
Gotcha.
So we limit the amount of downtime, and I think our customers really like the value that we bring to them by being able to save them money.
Sure, absolutely. So what is it, and you don't have to get into specifics, but a one box costs $15,000?
Yeah, they've come down a little bit. They're probably around 11,000 to be able to be
what
installed.
can you fix one of those for, typically?
Well, we service them for as little as $800 or $900. Yeah, and that's both filters.
Really?
Yeah, so we can clean the DPF filters for that. If it's more intensive, we can also service the entire one box
Right,
with
right.
our process. It takes a little bit more time
Right.
and a little bit more money, but you know the key to it, and I know everybody kind of has a bad feeling about the diesel after treatment system and DPFs and
Sure.
DEF and all of that. But really, the key to it is maintenance.
Absolutely.
And when you maintain that DPF filter, it's really designed to last the lifetime of the vehicle.
Okay.
And we've restored filters that had over 1 million miles on them. But when you maintain that system, it's not going to cost any more than maybe
Right.
changing windshield wiper blades
Right.
on that vehicle for the lifetime.
Now, Freiliner's the only one that has a one box, right? So the
No.
other brands have different things. I mean, they have
Yeah.
the DLC and then the.
Yeah, Volvo Mac has a one box, and Caterpillar has a one box
They
now
do.
too.
Okay.
yeah.
I wouldn't,
Off-road.
we're obviously Freightliner because I don't know a lot about the other brands, but
Can I jump in? I have
sure.
a question.
I didn't know you were here.
Well, I'm back.
Sorry.
I'm much relieved.
Sounds
Good.
like it.
I'm always interested in someone's origin story and how you ended up, because I'm struggling to remember right now for obvious reasons how you ended up as the DPF alternatives guy. But the origin story. Did y'all cover this while I was?
Well, just a little bit, not a lot. But go ahead.
But how do you end up being the DPF alternatives guy? How do you see this opportunity in the market? Because to me, it seems like a huge opportunity. Like we're having massive problems serving customers, which is the goal, right? Serving customers in this market with these trucks, and no one has the answers. And it seems to me, from my perspective, that the answer to being able to continue serving customers with these emissions trucks is that preventative maintenance that you're talking about. But how did you end up here?
Well, I have a background with Snap-on Tools, and I started with in Snap-on as a franchisee. So I was just like everybody here. I drove around in the truck and I sold tools to customers in the state of West Virginia, down south in Logan. Then I became I went up in the program with Snap-on, and I became the regional diagnostic manager for Great Lakes. And I knew, just with that background, that drivers, like you said, Chris, are having a heck of a time trying to maintain the diesel after treatment system.
Yeah.
So when I when I was actually working with Snap-on, I went and saw a customer, and he was a DPF Alternatives location in Maumee, Ohio, right outside of Toledo. His name is Ron Pittman, so shout out to Ron Pittman. The guy's a rock star, and he kind of introduced me to DPF Alternatives. And he used to be a diesel shop, working on big rigs, had technicians, the whole 9 yards. And he found DPF Alternatives with a problem vehicle, and now he just is a DPF Alternatives location, and he still works on vehicles. Like Larry, you said, some customers, bring their rig to the shop. He still does that, but just like me too, he goes out and picks up and delivers, and has a pretty fantastic shop up there in Ohio. So he turned me on to it, and I got to meet the VP. Very interested with my Snap-on franchise background, and I like being a part of something bigger than me, and having the support of the founder, the VP, and all of the other franchises nationwide. Everybody is very helpful. We have a great way of sharing and learning, and the support that DPF Alternatives brings has been a good fit for me. And we're growing like crazy in West Virginia, and we're just happy to be able to be here with the Lunatics.
We've talked so much about 08 to 15 being the no-go zone, that stay away from trucks that are 08 to 15, because it seems like in 15 or 16, the OEMs finally got a handle on this emission system and making it to where it was viable, or it was maintainable. But as a person who believes 100% in the free market, I always knew that the answer was outside the state. The state was not going to fix this problem. It was going to be the free market stepping up, saying, okay, well, here is this mandated technology that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted this technology. Nobody wanted DPFs. Nobody wanted SCR. But the free market identified a problem and said, okay, here's a problem. How do we fix it? Because if you can't enter into business and understand that your primary concern is solving someone else's problem, you're not going to survive. You have to be single-minded against solving someone else's problem. So DPF Alternatives, Diesel Force Cleaning, all of these people, Pittsburgh Power, have all been engaged in the market, in the free market, without coercion, without force, of saying, here's a problem created. It doesn't matter who created it. We have to solve this problem. And that's what you guys have done. You have solved a problem that we couldn't solve. Is it fair to say we couldn't solve it through the OEMs? We had to solve it outside the market?
I think the OEMs, with the help of the free market, have found that you can actually get power and efficiency and longevity out of the diesel aftertreatment system that we never had before.
Right.
But I know, Chris, you're maintenance minded, and if you maintain these vehicles and treat the diesel aftertreatment system just like you treat your tires or your windshield wiper fluid, it's going to serve you a long time, and you're going to get the power and efficiency and stay productive all the time. I really believe that. But folks like Pittsburgh Power, they figured out how to get the power out of diesels, even with the restriction that the government mandated emission system has put on that diesel engine. And the restriction on the turbos and all of that.
I've spent, my oldest child is 17. So I've spent the last 17 years trying to get her to think, and try to get her to understand that problems need solved. And it's going to be people that identify those problems and solve those problems that are going to be the ones that are successful.
Yep.
And you guys have clearly done that, because I know I can count on you. When if I bring an emissions truck, 2007 and newer, into my fleet, I know that part of that preparation process, part of that refurbishment is going to be counting on diesel DPF alternatives. Sorry, I've got way too much alcohol in mine. Let me just go ahead and issue a blanket apology for everyone. DPF alternatives and diesel force cleaning and Pittsburgh Power. Now, but I do want to ask you this question, because we tell people 08 to 15 is a no-go. Do you agree with that statement?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I haven't met a DPF filter that I haven't liked.
Okay.
You're talking about DPF alternatives and all of that. I think I can speak for just about all DPF alternatives locations. We love what we do, and we do it uniquely. So we try to help the customer, no matter what year, make, and model that they have, to get the most out of that diesel particulate filter and the after treatment system. And we're going to find a way to help you get the most out of it. And the longevity is real important to us too. So we want to make sure that you're covered. And it doesn't matter if you have a service in West Virginia and you travel to Las Vegas. Our 1-year guarantee works at any location. And if you're using Pittsburgh Power, the max mileage, you get a lifetime guarantee on the cleaning of that DPF filter.
Let's say that one more time.
Yeah,
If you
say
are
it again.
using the Pittsburgh Power fuel-borne catalyst, you receive a
Lifetime
warranty on your cleaning of your diesel particulate filter. If you are using the diesel.
huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. We cannot do anything about. I know we think we can, but we cannot do anything about the regulatory apparatus. We just can't. I know how much you think you want to, but you just can't. So the only option that you have in the free market is to look around and say, okay, well, who's going to help me? And it's people like Chase and it's people like Pittsburgh Power. They're going to help you weather the storm that was created, not of your own making. It was the state regulatory apparatus that created this problem, a problem that did not exist before they created this problem. They created it, now we have to fix it. And the we that I'm talking about is the free market. So and it goes back to what we've said so many times. You have to educate yourself. You have to become the expert. You have to understand suspensions so that you can do what Rocky does, or at least understand what Rocky provides for you. You have to understand your fuel system. You have to understand your cooling system. You have to understand your emission system. And it's not something that you can let others make you believe that's too complicated for you. You are going to have, if you're going to be an owner-operator in the year 2023, you're going to have to decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to have to be the expert. I'm going to have to understand these emission systems, and I'm going to have to find other people that understand these emission systems, and they're not necessarily going to have a certification.
All right.
They're going to be people that can say, I can solve your problem if you'll trust me. And I can testify today on whatever day of August it is in 2023, because it's possible that I could be a little too drunk to recognize the day of the week. But in August of 23, I can tell you that you can trust Chase Bryant and DPF Alternatives, and you can trust Pittsburgh Power to give you the information you need to make the decision. Because you can't get away from, you cannot absolve yourself of responsibility if you're an owner-operator. If you choose a 2013 or 14 or 15 or 16 truck, it's your responsibility alone to make sure that you find people that you can trust, like Chase, like Pittsburgh Power, that can lead you in the direction that you need to go. Because if you can't serve customers, if you can't deliver loads, you're not going to make any money. And you're going to have to trust yourself to make the right decisions to trust people like Chase to make those good decisions based on their experience alone. I should stop talking now. I'm going to stop talking now.
So Chase, I forgot my question.
I'm completely unsurprised by that fact.
How did you already live in Milton? Is that how do you get a DPF Alternatives franchise in West Virginia?
Well, when I approached DPF Alternatives, I was looking for the area that they had
Yeah.
available, and they actually had West Virginia available.
And you lived here already? Then?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was a graduate of Milton High School back when they were the Greyhounds.
Really?
Yeah. Now it's Cabell Midland High School.
Interesting.
So-
Wow. Well, when we found you and we heard about DPF Alternatives, I'm thinking, well, we got to go to Columbus or.
Hey, that's a great story, by the way, because we were at the truck show in 22,
Oh, that's right. That's cool.
and we were in the Pittsburgh Power booth.
Yeah.
And I said to someone, it was, I guess, he was someone working with Pittsburgh Power. I'm like, well, man, I heard about these guys in Milton, and they're like, hey, that's us. And he was literally standing beside
Right
me.
next, right next to
And
you.
he goes, hey, I'm that guy. And I'm like,
couldn't
really?
believe it.
You're the guy in Milton? And so the relationship was born from there.
Could not believe it. Could not believe it.
Well,
Chase-
we really appreciate the business. I can't wait to talk to all the drivers on Sunday. We got some giveaways and some good information, education.
We get some nice. He's got some nice things. We're going to have some drawings for us. So, Chase, thank you for supporting us.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you
being
for the
here,
business.
and we very value your partnership. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Me too. Me too. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chase.
So, is how about Ken and Marianne Best? Are they here?
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you that the internet has been screaming for Amber Cunningham.
That's true. So help me line up Ken and Marianne Best, and then we'll get Amber here right now.
Ken and Marianne. They can stand all
Stand
day.
by. Stand by.
All right.
Where's Amber?
Amber, she outside.
Are we going Amber next?
Go get Amber.
I've been working on this for 8 years. It still ain't
Is this exciting or what, Chris?
Listen, I'm having the time of my life.
I understand.
They said you ain't drink.
But I need Amber.
Yeah, everybody wants Amber.
Amber. I know she don't want to be here, but Amber Cunningham
You're
needs to
pissing
be
off
the next.
all of the women in our company.
Listen,
you know that,
all
right?
I'm doing is giving the internet what they've asked for.
Yeah, right. You're blaming
And I
them.
don't care if y'all
You are never
going
gonna
to
ever
against her will.
Listen, you have ruined your reputation with Mary Lou for the rest of your life. Okay.
Listen, I'm going to tell you I took a picture of her on this podcast, and I'm tempted to send it to your son and just say, you realize your mother was just on the internet. Because it was gold. It was probably the best content the internet has ever seen. That Mary Lou Long was on this. There she is. I see her coming to the door.
She's a pretty special person. Amber.
It's time. It's time for Amber Cunningham.
It's time for
come
Amber
to
to
the
be in the
mic.
hot seat.
Here she comes. Go ahead and turn on that microphone and turn on that camera. Because
She's
it
like,
is time
give me a
for
chance
Amber
to say what I
Cunningham
want to say.
to come to the microphone and tell us what it's like
This
to
is-
be the fiance of one Richie Matthews. You probably ought to walk outside just so we can be sure that we get the whole truth.
You know, I've heard about
What
Amber
is it?
for
The truth, the whole truth, and
nothing
but
but
the truth.
Yeah, he probably needs to leave. So I've heard about Amber Cunningham for about a year now, right? Is that about how it is? You know? And
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, I know Richie, and I'm thinking, okay, first of all, and I knew he had to be special because he's just the ultimate bachelor, right? I mean,
Oh,
for somebody
100%.
to be able to get him out of that status, I knew it had to be special. I had no idea it was as special as you are.
Aw, thank you.
So hold this up close to your mouth.
Yeah.
So
gotta keep that
number
microphone
one,
right up.
number
on
one,
that mic.
congratulations on your upcoming. Do you all have a date set yet, or?
So it'll probably be after midwife school, which is probably about 3.5 years. And then we'll set a
3.5
date
years.
there.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
can
So-
you can you imagine just for a moment that Richie was the one that decided to be the midwife and not Ambler?
I know. And the first thing he said as soon as I said I wanted to be a midwife when we got together was, "Oh, I get 2 wives?" And I had to look at him like, did he really just say that?
He did. I'm
He
sure he
did.
did. I'm absolutely sure he did. So, listen, we love Richie. You have no idea what we think about Richie. And if Richie loves you as much as he obviously does, we have to love you too.
Of
so,
course.
welcome to our family.
Thank
And
you.
it's
all
been
right?
fun
I will-
over the
I
last
will-
couple of days to watch you, be pretty much in charge,
Yeah,
of how
absolutely.
things
Listen,
go.
she's been the best help I've had all week.
Oh, 100%.
She's an incredible helper. And we will get you some women appropriate gear.
The
Okay, I will
V-necks?
make that. I'll fix that.
Perfect.
So,
But just like we asked Mary Lou, okay, you and Richie have been together just about the entire time that he's been with Blue Ribbons. Was it a stretch for you to really understand what this self-employment thing meant?
Yeah, because it was more of like an eye-opening experience. At first he was over the road when we met, and he was gone for like a month and a half, and then periodically he got, his truck would break down to where he would be gone for 6 months at a time, and a new relationship, that's a huge thing to really.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
was that why he was in Covenant, or
No,
when
that
he
was
here?
when he was here, when
I
he was
feel
having
bad-
those truck
I feel bad
issues.
now. We made him be away from her for 6 months at a time. Did we make you do that,
No,
or did you
he
choose
made
to do
he
that?
made a choice. It was
He
his
made a choice.
Now, I question his judgment now. He's not as much smart as I thought he was.
Well, the truck was constantly breaking down, and I know that he had to, stay out for his business, and
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
to all make sacrifices, especially being with a truck driver. It's not always that easy.
Sure.
So, I mean, the time that he's gone, I do miss him a lot, but
sure.
also when he comes home, it just makes it more special, and we get to hang out a little bit more, and go out and do fun stuff and stuff like that. But ultimate sacrifices, and he told me what I was getting into when we started dating, and it's just something that we have to put aside for the business. And he did the same thing for me. I was working at a call center, a supervisor, 35 agents at a time, and I hated my job.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I was so unhappy, and I said, "Baby, I just can't do it anymore." And he talked me into quitting my job and starting to go to school for midwife, and that's ultimately what happened. And now we're kind of working together, and I'm pretty soon going to have a business as soon as I finish school, and he's going to have to be beside me for that as well.
Have you watched him grow as an individual?
Absolutely.
Isn't it amazing?
It is.
And it's just the thing. And he's so, I'm so endeared. I mean, he's so endeared to me. I feel like, I just feel like we have had a guy here that we can literally change his life.
Right.
Because he trusted in us, and he allowed us to coach him. But he's 24, 25 years old, right?
26.
26. Do you know? I mean, he has 40 years to invest and let the magic of compound interest. And do you know what the rule of 72 is? Have I explained that to you? Whatever the return rate you get on your money divided by 72, that's how many years it takes for it to double. So if he just think about how many times that money will double in the next 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it to me that's so. I mean, I just can't express to you how important that is for you guys to understand that and take advantage of your age, because it's easy. Most people just kick the can down the road.
Right.
I got plenty of time. I'll deal with that later. And then we have guys that are 55 and 60 and 62 and 65 come here and go, you know what? I've kicked the can down the road all my life, and now I have nothing. Can you fix it for me?
Right.
No. What it takes him monthly or weekly to have millions of dollars, they have to have thousands of dollars a week to do that.
Right.
If you understand what the time value of money is and the advantage that you have, you guys have to take advantage. And I know you will. But I use Richie as an example because we don't always get guys. We had a couple of other people in the program that were his age, and they just kick the can down the road. You know?
Yeah.
He has not.
Yeah.
He's seized it, and that's what makes me love him so much. So.
Right. I always say that Richie is an old soul in a young man's body.
That's a good thing.
So-
100%. That's a good, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. You don't find guys his age that are as mature as he is.
Right. And it took time. Like I'm not gonna bullshit or anything like that. But it took time for him to get out of covenant, and he was hating being a senior trainer. And he's grown a lot. And I knew him. I didn't know him when he was in covenant, but I knew him when he first started over here. And even seeing the time, 3.5 years, almost 3 years that we've been together, and he's just grown into the perfect
Isn't
human
excited
being.
that he's getting ready to own his own truck?
Oh yeah.
Is that not exciting?
Oh yeah.
I know he's proud. I'm proud of him, and he's Seth was our original poster boy, but now since Seth has moved on, Richie's now our poster boy. He's our example of what can happen. And I know that you have a lot to do with it. I know we influence him a lot, but nothing like you do.
Yeah.
And first of all, I want to thank you for being that support network for him, because it's hard what we do. I'm sure he relates to you and tells you how things. There's times I know that he's been discouraged, and like you told me before, hey, Richie, remember why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Remember what's really behind all this.
Yeah.
Because trucking is really not what this is about.
Right.
That's just the tool. That's the method that we use. That's the actual device that we use to make this happen. But that's not what we do.
Right.
And Richie's going to be in a situation pretty soon where he's going to have multiple trucks and multiple drivers, and he's going to have to motivate.
Yeah.
And cultivate these kinds of relationships, which I know he can do. So.
Yeah.
Well, Amber, we certainly appreciate you being the support system that Richie needs in this time. Somebody commented, Chris, are you crying? Listen, I'll go to squalling in a minute. Okay? I've always been an incredibly emotional person, especially when I've had two of these. By the way, Amber is an enabler. Okay, because she's fed me two of these so far.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Probably not the best life decision that you could ever make.
Amber, we really, really appreciate you being here. I know you had to sacrifice to do this, but I know Richie appreciates it. I know it means a lot to him, and it means a lot to us for you to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I
Enjoy
really
your
appreciate
weekend,
it.
okay?
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Richie, you're the man. You're the man. All right, I need Ken and Marianne Davis. Best. Ken and Marianne Best. Okay?
All right. Oh, I've had too many of those blue drinks, y'all.
Well, slow down, bitch, all right? Who brought this? This is the Canadian equivalent of Blanton's. Who brought this? Who brought this? You got to find out who that is, okay? That's huge. This is... All right.
Ken and Marianne Best.
Carrie.
B-E-S-T. Is that correct?
Ken and Marianne. Marianne's a two-word name like Mary Lou, okay?
Okay.
And you don't call her Mary. Her name is Marianne. When somebody says Mary, my wife doesn't even answer. It's Mary Lou, right? So, close to your mouth, okay? Close to your mouth. You'll have to share, okay? So I wanted you guys to come up because, I'm blown away, and I already said earlier, the commonality here is the podcast, okay? You found us on the podcast, no question about it. Okay. So I wanted you to just talk about what possessed you to drive from New Mexico, is that what I understand? And give up whatever you gave up to be here this weekend. I don't want you to flatter me. That's not what I want you to talk about. What are you looking for, and what is it we're delivering, or we hope we deliver to you that would make you make that commitment to do that?
Right on. All right. Yeah. Because we want to be entrepreneurs and always have. All right. And there's not a lot of, that it's a very specialized skill, entrepreneurship, right? And there are books out there about it. There's a lot. There's a lot of garbage about entrepreneurship that you can read, but you guys are actually proving that it can be done, right? And it's a skill. It's a complex skill, and you have to. We want to acquire it, and that's what we're doing here, right?
I sent out a questionnaire to everybody because we have a lot of different people here from different backgrounds. We've got Landstar BCOs, we got owner-op. I mean, we had lots of company drivers. Yours was very intriguing because you sent me back like more of a resume, and it's like, we could do this, but let's explain what we really did. And I'm not going to divulge all of that because I know it's not. I told you I wouldn't. But, it really got my attention. First of all, again, I can't express enough to you guys how flattered I am that we and what we do has that much impact on somebody that lives in thousands of miles away. I can't believe that, number one. Number two, I'm totally humbled by it. I'll never, ever, ever get comfortable with that. But reading that, it just, sometimes I tell Chris, this might be my last, thing, or this, what we're doing is, and then I read your thing and I go, you know what, if it's that, if what we're doing is that important to people, it just gives me the motivation to just keep doing it. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I'll be 70 in a couple of months, okay? And I don't have to do this anymore. What makes me continue doing this though are stories like yours.
Yeah.
That if I can, I've been blessed, with success, and if I can share any of that for somebody else to be able to pick up on it and use it, it's just, first of all, I feel like it's my obligation because, when you're given these kinds of gifts, it's your obligation to share them. Chris is a huge example. But I just wanted to recognize you guys for the sacrifice that you've made for being here this weekend and how important it is for me that you guys have done this. I can't thank you enough.
Well, Larry, we wanted to let you know that when we listen to both of you guys, what we think about is kind of the geometric effect of what you're doing. Long after you and I and Marianne are gone, it's going to be affecting our children and their children and their children and all of the people here, right? Their success that they may or may not have had is going to affect them and all of the people they meet and all the people they help. And it just branches out just like a geometric function, right? It's amazing.
When you get to be 70, you start thinking about the legacy, and there's what, 8 billion people on the earth? Am I right about that?
Yeah. They say it's going to be declining over time, but yeah.
But you think, and again, this goes back to this humbling thing I'm weird. I admit that. Okay, I'm not normal. But you start thinking about, I've got my child and I've got my grandchildren, but you think about, well, maybe I left a mark that somebody else could benefit from.
Yeah.
And
then they pass it on and they pass it on, yeah. I'm telling you, you started in 77. I was 6 years old in 77. I approached my Cub Scout den mother, right? And I said, I want to start my own business, right? But I didn't have a grandfather like you. I didn't have somebody there to guide me. My sister and I went out and started a leather. We went to Tandy Leather, and we were making keychains. We went down to the swap meet, and we got ourselves a space and everything. We ended up smack dab next to this guy who had about 8 spaces and the most beautiful leather work you've ever seen in your life. So we learned a hard lesson that day about business, right? But we kept on trucking after that, and now we're hoping to start our own business in this, and then move on to what we're going to.
Your story is interesting to me, and it also is intriguing. I got in trucking totally by accident. You've heard the story, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was just out of boredom. I'm like, I got to do something. I'm with my wife. You met Mary Lou. She's
Yeah.
like, you got to go do something.
You got to get her on here. Was she on here earlier? Okay, good. I can't wait to watch.
So, but she's like, look, you got to do something. Okay, you're killing me.
Yeah.
So this trucking thing was just a total accident. I talk about that maybe there was a seed planted because our son's initials are CDL.
Yeah.
I remember.
So,
You mentioned that, yeah.
And then there's a little story about Larry Long Trucking. There's a guy in Kentucky that was and I don't know if you remember this, but I was on our honeymoon, and I get back from our honeymoon. We have this big stack of return checks in the mail slot.
Yeah.
And it's from this Larry Long. This is long before computerized banking. My bank had deposited a $10,000 check from Larry Long Trucking into my account, personal account, Long4 Trucking.
Right
and
on.
it bounced. And so they hit my account for $10,000. It bounced every check I wrote for the wedding. Now I walk in the door with my new bride, and she said, that's the first impression you gets of me. There's all these return checks.
We got to go talk to her about that.
Exactly.
Where is she?
So would you possibly believe that in like 30 years later, that we would cross paths again with Larry Long and Larry Long Trucking? It's too real.
It makes you wonder, right?
Absolutely. But and I know that you guys kind of have gotten in trucking, kind of like unexpectedly.
Yeah, actually, our son got us into it. He's a Jedi when it comes to trucking. He can move anything, big equipment. He wants to get a lowboy and just go on his own.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Marianne, you have your CDL, right? You guys are a team.
Yes, yeah.
So what did you do before trucking?
Oh, we used to have a home. It's kind of like a home care for veteran.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Veterans Administration, they have a medical foster home program.
Right.
So they would send a veteran to us, and I would take care of them.
Right.
And that's what I did before that.
And the pandemic ended that, right? Was that
Yeah.
what happened? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you like trucking? What's your?
Oh, I think I liked it now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just seeing different places. You can't really go to to stop at places
Right.
there where you wanted to, but
right.
you get to see different states. It's like I've seen the states all over the U.S. So it's
Sure.
like it's nice. If I haven't been tracking, I don't think I would have time to actually do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Ken, did you get your CDL first and then Marianne got hers?
We went to school
You
together.
went together. So you were a team from the start?
Yeah, we did the SWIFT program, yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, we actually got basically a scholarship because I was a nurse, and then
Okay.
she was the spouse.
Right.
And so they paid for our school. All we had to do was give them 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
And then we were on our way.
Yeah. So what are you doing right now? Are you still working for a company right now?
Yeah, we're driving for a FedEx contractor, Albuquerque to Denver and back.
Okay.
Just out and back, right?
Is it a FedEx ground or FedEx freight, or what is it?
It's a FedEx ground.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're working
yeah, we're
for-
pulling pups, doubles.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, we wanted to talk to you about that actually, because we know these guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a skill to that too, right? They get a couple of trucks together and they manage the drivers.
Well,
and-
that's Kevin Rutherford's deal. He owned all the routes down in Orlando to somewhere in Georgia. So that was his gig. Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, listen, thanks for being here. Thanks for making the sacrifice to be here. I'm flattered.
It was not a sacrifice.
I'm glad.
We enjoyed the drive, and we are looking forward to learning a lot.
Well, I hope we don't
enjoyed being
disappoint
here.
you, but anyway, I'm really, 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 happy that you guys could come. So.
Right on. Hey, if you want to thank us, give Chris a week off. He looks very sad and tired, and I think he needs a hug. Okay. We love him too, man. We really appreciate everything.
He's just drunk. Don't worry about him.
All right. Thanks a ton,
Thank
bud.
you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Right
Thank
on.
you. Thank you, Marianne.
Well, it's been 2 hours and 33 minutes, and it's certainly time to probably bring this to a close.
Okay.
Because
well,
I'm probably going to wake up in the morning and really regret a lot of the life decisions that I've made in the last 2 hours.
Well,
So-
we have a lot more people here that we get to talk to, but that's how it works. So
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're not here, you should be here. If there is another one of these next year, you need to be here because we're having a ball, and these people are going to have a great weekend. We're going to learn a lot from everybody. We're going to teach each other. We're going to share. We're going to network. We're going to socialize, and it's a culmination of what we love doing here, and that's sharing our knowledge and giving people the chance to take care of this, take advantage of this huge opportunity that there is in trucking and in entrepreneurship. And listen, it's not about the rates. It's not about the brokers. Okay, that's a distraction. All right.
Yep.
So thank you guys. Appreciate. I mean, everybody here is here because of the podcast.
Yep, 100%.
And we, that blows me away too. But anyway, I thank you, Chris, for making me do this, and putting up with my bullshit for the last 3 years about.
It's been a struggle.
I'm sure it is. But anyway, I'm done, man. I mean,
Listen, I've been done for a while because Amber keep feeding me these blue MFs, and so I'm going to go contemplate my life decisions. But I'm still glad to be here.
All right, guys. Well, listen, be safe out there on the road, and we'll talk to you next week. Okay. Good night, everybody.
See
Thank
y'all.
you. Sure.